Afternoon. Welcome to Savva Talks Spurs. Savva is here. That is me. And Graham is here. That's this guy. Graham, how are you?
I'm well. Good afternoon, everybody.
So, Graham, lots to talk about today. It's been an interesting week at Tottenham Hotspur. We've seen an incoming and an outgoing, linked to every player under the sun as normal. Before we do that, welcome to all of the viewers. Please get your questions in. This is the show where we don't have to have a million topics, but you guys can ask whatever questions you would like, and I will try and get to as many of the questions as I can. So I've seen there's already a few people in there already. We've got Daryl Denton in the chat. We've got Luan in the chat, THFC Caveman, True Blue 49, who points out that we still need a right wing back. Mark Anthony is saying good afternoon, and 164 Spur. So guys and girls, please get in your messages. We'll go through them all. As always, can I please ask kindly if everyone would be so kind to smash that like button? That would be much appreciated. And as always, any super chats, 50% of that revenue does go to the British Heart Foundation, which is a very good cause and a cause close to my heart. Graham, let's talk. First of all, before we talk about Lenglet, let's talk about Bergwijn. So this has been on the cards, I would say, for probably close to 6 months. Lots of talk about Bergwijn needing to leave Spurs to get first team football. It seems like from day one that it's always going to be Ajax. What are your thoughts on that? It works out at about 28 million pounds. And he's going to go and play first team football. He'll probably win the league. Good move for him.
Yeah, good move for him. Yeah, obviously he was there before, wasn't he? But very good move for us as well, because that's a good fee, isn't it? A very good fee for him. I was staggered when I saw that. Oh, crikey. Levy's at work here. Just not good enough. Yeah. I'm sure he said before, yes, you'll get the odd goal. He's got a bit of pace on him. He came on at Leicester and got those 2 goals. It can easily happen. But he struggles again because of his first touch not being good enough. Yeah. Now he's been at Ajax, so I'm surprised they haven't worked on that touch. People with pace often, to have pace and a good touch as well, and many players can do that, the two things together. Yeah. Not easy. The ball runs away from you all the time. Same with Moura, isn't it? But no, I think an excellent bit of business. He wanted to go. He's going to get regular football at Ajax. We've got, I think, a pretty decent fee for him. Yeah. Good all round.
So were you surprised then that we got that much? Because I'll be honest, he's the sort of player I look at, and I know 28 million or 30 million euros, whatever it works out to, isn't a lot in this market, but I wouldn't have paid that for him. I'm not a fan at all. I think there was a lot of moaning there. I think there was a lot of, as you said, a couple of goals overshadowed his deficiencies as a footballer. Are you surprised we managed to get 30 million for him?
Staggered when I saw it. I wasn't sure it was euros or I don't know.
I think it works out to 30 million euros. But
I think from Spurs' point of view, it's an excellent bit of business. Excellent bit of business. He wanted to play. Of course he wants to play. Everybody wants to play. But for me, not good enough. We've got to be looking for better than that.
Mm-hmm. So how long is it going to be, Graham, before he has a wonderful, wonderful couple of months for Ajax? And then our fans start saying, see, we shouldn't have let him go. He's brilliant. We need him. Is that going to happen?
Well, I wonder how many clubs were clamoring all over him to sign him.
Right.
Yeah, he'll do well at Ajax. You know, he plays right for Holland, apparently. I mean, I don't watch their games, but they're saying he's done well for Holland. Good luck to him. But where's he going to get a game match? I can't see him starting many games. I know we want to rotate and everything else, but Carabao Cup.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, Graham, you've now got Perisic, who can play wide forward, Kulusevski, Son, Kane, Richarlison. They're different levels to Bergwijn, aren't they? They're much better. I mean, how many minutes would he have got playing up against those guys?
Not when he's got Moura on the bench as well, because the same sort of player, aren't they, really? People who get it, run with it, lose it. So I don't think... I think Moura tends to be the first sub that comes on, doesn't he? Followed by Bergwijn. Whether Moura will stay, that's another question, of course, isn't it?
Absolutely. So let's move away from Bergwijn then. I feel like he's the sort of player where don't really think there's a lot to talk about with him, if that makes sense. I don't feel like he's had any impact at the football club at all. I think the debut goal kind of gave everybody this hope that we'd signed this world beater. I seem to remember him scoring a very good goal against, I want to say Aston Villa, but that could be a lie. Someone in the comments will let me know. And then he got that kind of 90-second double against Leicester.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't feel like it feels like to me he won't be a player we remember in 10 years' time. Is that harsh or?
No, that's not harsh at all. I remember when he got those 2 goals, even I shouted out, and it takes a lot to get me shouting. I even shouted his name out loud, crikey, which of the neighbours weren't listening. Yeah, as I say, his touch not good enough. That's the problem with him. You've got to. I said before a couple of weeks ago at Kulusevski, he's got an excellent touch. The ball's always at his feet, and then when the ball's at your feet, you can do a number of things with it. With Bergwijn, he was stumbling almost all the time, wasn't he? Sort of falling over it. Mm-hmm. I wonder when we first signed him, how many other clubs were clambering all over him to sign him. I just think it's excellent money. I mean, I would have put him at 15 million personally.
I agree. Just quickly, big up to everyone in the chat who's saying afternoon. Oh, I think we might have even been called a legend by somebody, Graham. That's lovely, isn't it?
A legend.
Yeah, probably legend. Luan has asked a question. He said, I have to ask this, Savva and Graham. Where do you guys know each other from? Where did you first meet? Graham and I was actually doing work experience when I was 15. Yeah. When I was 15, I did work experience for 2 weeks at Charlton Athletic. Graham was the head of the academy there, head of the development centres. And then he got me a job working as a coach, put me through my coaching badges, and we worked at Charlton together. And then worked out that we both have this miserable thing in our lives where we support Tottenham Hotspur. So it went from there, didn't it, Graham?
Yeah, I had about 4 or 5 centres in North Kent. I think the one at Gravesend, actually one down at Maidstone as well. The main one was at Lee City Tech at Dartford. I don't know if you know that area at all. Swanley. And so what I did was, obviously, all the lads who came in on work experience, they were told they had to go in the evenings as well and help out the coaching. I won't tell them the Colin Walsh story. No, I won't tell them the Colin Walsh story. I'll tell them
the Colin Walsh story. First of all, who knows who Colin Walsh is? That's probably a better question.
Great player.
If I'm not wrong, Colin Walsh won Champions League titles with Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, played with Cloughie.
Right, plays for Clough.
Great Cloughie stories as well.
So we were coaching one night. I always get told, you never coached, Savva. Never mind. We were coaching one night. I want to say at Swanley.
It was.
Swanley Technology Centre, right? Yeah. Swanley Tech, is that all right? And anyway, just while we were waiting for all the kids to arrive, we were taking some penalties on the AstroTurf, and I was in goal, and Colin Walsh was taking some penalties, and I was saving them. And
well, to start with, didn't he? To start with, he was just caressing it.
Yeah.
And then this one here next to me started giving him the big one. Oh, Scottish international, and you still can't do. Anyway, he said to me, "You watch this one," and he went up to it. And I'll tell you what, it would have broken. You would have taken your hand off at the wrist, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
He wellied it. Tremendous player, not the great. It's funny how players don't always make good coaches. Walsh used to turn up, and I got the feeling it was a bit of a chore for him, really.
Yeah. But he has won Champions League.
Yeah,
hasn't he?
Cloughie did a lot for him at Forest.
He's won Champions League. Let's move on from Colin Walsh.
Yes.
Let's talk about somebody just mentioned there before we go on to Lenglet. Somebody just mentioned there that apparently Tanganga might be in talks with Bournemouth. Right. PO Block. Is this confirmed? Is this, for me, confirmed is when it's confirmed, not Twitter rumours. Is that true? If it was true, Graham, good move for Tanganga. And another one, is he good enough for us?
Well, Scott Parker would know him from Spurs, wouldn't he? He would have come through the youth academy when Scott was involved.
Probably, yeah.
He would know him. At academy level, he was very, very good. So a friend of mine picked him out. He said, "You've got a really good defender coming through." He was outstanding academy player. But just, again, another one, not just short of the line, isn't he, really? Bournemouth, he might do really well at Bournemouth, play every game and come back somewhere else, a bigger club. Yeah. But he's another one who's always got a mistake in him. Remember, a number of games I sit with you, didn't I?
Yeah.
And I say, there's too many defenders at this club who've got a mistake in them. and he's one, I think.
Yeah.
He played a lot, though.
Just quickly, there's 84 of you in the chat. Please smash the like button. There's only 34 likes. Let's see if we can get that to 50 ASAP. And remember, any super chats, 50% does go to the British Heart Foundation. Tanganga, for me, the word I would use, Graham, is he is rash. I watch him time after time just go clattering into people. And for me, I don't particularly like defenders that do that. Romero can be a bit rash, but with Romero, the rest of his game you can see is quality. Tanganga at Bournemouth, I mean, would he play week in, week out at Bournemouth?
I would imagine so, he would, yeah. See, the thing is, when you're coming in, when you're in your centre half and you're attacking the ball, you don't really see the player in front of you. He's there, but you're watching the ball. And I think what he's got to learn is that when he goes after that high ball, he's got to be aware of the player in front. Because what forwards do, they just hold their ground. Then you come through the back of him. Now that's all right. If you do it on the edge of the penalty area against someone like Ward-Prowse, you know he's going to give goals away doing that. So he's got a lot to learn. If he goes there and gets regular games, his game will improve. You know, he hasn't really had long runs at Spurs to play. But I think Bournemouth's more let him go there and develop his game.
So does he play at right back for Bournemouth or centre back or both?
I thought some of his better games for us were at right back. Obviously, if you're centre half, that's difficult. Because if you make a mistake there, it's near enough a goal, isn't it? So right back, you've got a bit more security there. But I don't know who they got there already. I can't think of the defenders they got at Bournemouth.
Worry. I think Cahill was there last year.
Cook's not there anymore, is he?
No, Cook left. I think Cahill was left there summer, if I think. I don't know. Anyone know any Bournemouth centre-backs? I can't really think. No. Okay, let's move on, Graham. Let's move on to... let's go to Longley. We'll talk about Spence in a minute. Let's go to Longley. Clement Longley, lots of people seem very, very underwhelmed. Lots of people are talking about, he didn't do it at Barca. He couldn't get in at Barca. But as a man I know that watches Barcelona religiously, talk to us about Clement Longley.
Very composed on the ball. You know, he's not a rash defender at all. Reads the game really well. Good on the ball. Left-footed. Can play out the back. For me, a good player. As I said before, I don't understand why he didn't play last year. I don't like Eric Garcia. I think he's a very average defender.
Yeah.
Balls are going over his head because he's a very short guy, isn't he? Balls are going over his head and people are running on and scoring. Yeah, I mean, Xavi obviously didn't fancy him. He didn't play him. So that's Xavi's opinion.
Yeah.
It don't mean to say he's no good because people say he's no good. He never got on at Barcelona. And sometimes a lot of people who criticise him haven't really seen him play. They don't watch him, and then they sort of think, well, he can't even get in Barcelona's team.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good players there who are not playing, So I think an excellent signing.
I mean, I think
We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something we'll see. But whenever I've watched Longley, look, has he got a couple of mistakes in him? I've seen a couple of mistakes. But I think the key word you used there, Graham, was it's composure.
Yes.
He's one of those. He'll receive the ball in tight areas. He doesn't just whack it away. He'll play his way out. He's got good close control. He's not worried about attackers closing him down. He'll nip past them. I feel like with Spurs fans, I feel like they've got lots of fans have got really arrogant, Graham. All of a sudden, Longley's not good enough for us. We're better than Liverpool. Longley's not good enough for us. It's like, where is this coming from, Graham? Why suddenly have we all of a sudden better than Chelsea and Liverpool, and Barcelona players aren't good enough for us?
I think all football supporters at every club are the same, aren't they, really? We want, and to be fair, we all do, don't we? We want top-class players at Spurs. We want people who are going to come in like Liverpool did with Virgil van Dijk. Class player and the keeper come straight in, made a big, big difference. And I think probably to a lot of people, it's a bit underwhelming. Longley, that's how they look at it.
Yeah.
I think he's an improvement on Davis. I think Davis has done a good job when he's at Spurs. He's been there a long time, played a lot of games. This guy is the next level up, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, look, we've had Ben Davis for 8 years, and I've always said, for me, great squad player, right? I would never turn around and go, he must leave. I think if he left, but he's a good squad player to have, can cover multiple positions. I just feel that because he had a decent back end to last season, that all of a sudden now people think he's better than he is. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I just, you've got to look at the overall thing, isn't it? I mean, I'd look at, it'll be Romero, Dyer and Lenglet, I think, will be the three at the back, I would think.
Yeah. I mean, this is an interesting one. I mean, THFC 14 has said we went from 80 million defenders, I think he's talking about Bastoni, to a Barcelona sixth choice loanee. Now, I think what we've got to remember is, let's assume Bastoni's 80 million. Spurs never bid for him. So when we're talking about we went from 80 million well, we didn't, because we didn't attempt to buy the bloke. And that's the key thing for me is we can talk a lot, Graham, about, we monitored this player and we tracked him and we scouted him and Spurs really like him. If you don't make a bid, what does all that matter?
Well, I mean, has that happened? Have we been interested in these players, as you say? I don't know. A lot of it's fabricated. I mean, with the social media now, I mean, you imagine donkeys years ago when there was no social media. You found out through sort of pigeon flying through the air with a message in his beak. You know, nowadays you can't breathe, can you? You can't sneeze, and somebody's put it all over Twitter. Yeah, and everything else.
Do you know what? I don't mind that, Graham. But what makes me laugh is when people pass it off as fact. So like, there's some people I follow on Instagram, and they're nice lads. They're probably quite young. They'll say Spurs in talks with Tielemans because they've seen a link saying that we might like Tielemans, but there's no actual factual basis on which to go by that.
I mean, but the Zuma one came out of the blue, didn't it? That suddenly happened. That's what I like. Let it just happen. I mean, with the Spence one, now it's dragging on and on and on, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, I mean, people saying they're not convinced by Lenglet. I think the thing for me is, if anybody follows Barcelona, you'll know that Lenglet wasn't playing because they had a settled back two and he couldn't get in the team. They rotated from Lenglet to Araujo to Garcia to Piqué to Umtiti. Am I missing? There's five there. Am I missing anyone?
Did you say Garcia?
Garcia, Lenglet, Umtiti, Mingueza, Araujo, Piqué. So in the last 2 years, it feels like they've all got lots of games, but no one's really settled.
It may have been a personal thing between him and Xavi as well, mightn't it? He did play. I mean, I saw him play some games. He did play. But, I mean, Araujo, in my opinion, is one of the top centre-halves in Europe. He's a fantastic player. I mean, if we got him, wow, he is brilliant. So he's not going to get in there. Piqué was always going to play. Yeah.
I mean, this guy, so I can't agree with this. I watch Barcelona religiously. Savva, he's shite. He's not shite. He's really not shite. This is where I think we forget who we are. Our defenders at the moment are Davis, Dyer, Sanchez, Tanganga and Rodon. You get players that are French internationals that play centre-back for Barcelona, and all of a sudden they're shite. Sorry, I feel like that.
I feel like see as well. He's got to adjust a different. I'm not saying it's better, but differently.
Yeah, of course.
It's how he adjusts. He might come over and do superbly. I don't think anybody can judge on last season because he hardly played.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
I like him. I think he's good.
And on a loan as well. There's no. I think they were talking about, was it a 5 million loan fee? I mean, that's great business for me.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm not sitting here in any way saying I think Lenglet's the best centre back in Europe, and we don't need to go and buy another centre half. But I am sitting here saying it's a long season next year with a World Cup in the middle of it. We could end up playing 55 to 60 games in all competitions. Can't have Davis and Dyer going into Champions League games against the world's best, can you? You just can't.
No, not good enough. No. He'll stay. He's good cover for left back, and left centre back. But he's had his day, I think.
Kevin McBain has said Lenglet's best year was at Seville in a back three. Look, I think a lot of players have struggled at Barcelona the last 3 years. Every time, whenever I say to you, Graham, don't I? I'll call you. I'm like, you're watching Barca. You'll say, yeah. And I'll say, he's just changed the 11 again. Yeah. And that's not just Xavi. That was Koeman for about 2 years. Yeah. Every game, you just didn't know who was going to play anywhere on the pitch, apart from Busquets. And you didn't know what the front three was going to be. You didn't know what the centre halves.
It was a very young side as well. I mean, they've got some magnificent young players, and I think that the defence was under a lot of pressure all the time.
Yeah. Roman Lagos has said Longley's stats are very good in comparison to top European defenders. Someone actually went through his stats with me the other day, and whilst I don't like getting buried in stats because I feel like it can ruin football, I think stats have a time, they have a place, but some of the defensive stats they showed for Longley were very good compared to Bastoni, compared to players that we are after. So,
what are the assets of a centre back anyway? You know, you've got to be able to read the game. You know, things like that. It's when you're watching a game on the telly, it's very hard to pick up. You've got to be at a game looking along the line for defenders. On the television, you tend to take your eye off it a lot of the time. A lot of his good work is probably not being noticed. Also, he's not a demonstrative centre back. Like Araujo is. You'd notice him.
Yeah.
But this guy's not. He's steady, and let him see how he does. We don't know. It's I think it's a gamble worth taking.
PB and Jan, when you're saying no, Savva Bastoni doesn't want to leave. I know Bastoni doesn't want to leave, but we didn't bid. What we can't do as fans is turn around and go, oh, we went from this player to this player if we didn't put in a bid. If Spurs put in an £80 million bid for Bastoni and it's rejected and the player turns you down, you go, fair enough, they tried. But nowhere did we bid for the player. So I think there's a huge difference between bidding and talking to. Isn't that right, Graham?
Yeah,
it's a huge difference.
How do we know what's gone on? We don't know. It's all hearsay again, isn't it? It's all they put two and two together. Conte, and they put two and two, all these factors together and come up with we're interested in. We're tracking. I love that one as well. We're tracking him.
Yeah. I mean, do you know what I keep seeing on all shows that I'm on now, Graham? Is I keep seeing the world seems obsessed with stats to judge a footballer. Obsessed with stats. And now, and the people that love stats will always go, oh, the eye test. Oh, Graham, you've worked in football for donkey's years. No offence. You've worked in professional football for Premier League clubs for the FA. Do you need stats to tell you a good player?
I did.
Right, you don't, do you?
You've got to watch the games, haven't you?
Right.
Because it's like passing, isn't it? I mean, all this passing across the back, and we did that a lot at Charlton. It went sideways, backwards, and at times you think, oh, can we get the ball out of the back? Can we get it into the next area of the pitch? Then they look at it and say we had 78% possession. Yeah, but we never came out of our own half a lot of the time.
Yeah.
It was going backwards and forwards. So possession stats are a waste of time. I think you can look too much at stats.
Look, do you know what? For me, stats for me, things like for a striker, how many goals did you score? That's a stat, right? I don't need stats of final third pressing. I don't need stats of balls into the final third that led to a created opportunity. I feel like it's just ruining.
We've made life so complicated.
Really complicated.
It's so complicated. It's a straightforward game made difficult.
Really complicated.
I mean, it really is.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like Will and I always have this back and forth on stats. And look, it's the only thing Will and I don't agree on, to be honest. But I feel like so many times when we look at stats, people go, "Oh, because your eyes said he's good." Oh, but what do the stats say? But this is what I don't understand, right? Let's say, Graham, we were comparing, I'm just going to pick two players, just for example, Tielemans versus Kovacic at Chelsea. I'll just pluck two players there. You can look at their stats all day long, but they play in different teams, different formations, different managers. Yeah. So you could go, oh my God, his passing percentage is this, his is this. One of them might play in a team where they keep the ball. Another one might play in a team where the aim is to get the ball forward as much as possible. Yeah. Like someone said to me the other day about a stat of how many times Kane loses the ball. Kane loses the ball because he's trying to go forward. He's trying passes. He's trying to link up, which is more difficult than a 5-yard pass sideways.
It gives half a dozen people a job as well. I mean, I walked in the room at Charlton once and the guy's got a computer. He's doing this, that and the other. I thought, God, it's giving someone a job, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Yeah.
And they look at these laptops while they're sitting in the dugouts. I mean, can you imagine Ferguson looking at laptops? I
mean, don't get me wrong. As I said, Graham, I think stats do have a part to play. But so many times I'm on shows now and people want to bring up sheets of 15 different things a player does to tell me they're good or not.
Overanalyze.
Look, you and I used to go and scout down at Charlton. And when we were watching players, there was no part of me that, if, for example, if we look at Barry Fuller.
Yes.
So Barry Fuller has had, if you don't know who Barry Fuller is, Barry Fuller's just had a long career playing for Wimbledon, I want to say. Who did he play for? Gillingham?
Played for Gillingham. He's just got promotion with Dorking Wanderers now. Yeah, Barry, we had a game at Ashford. He kicked everybody round the field, didn't he? He kicked everybody. But I thought, bring him up to Charlton. And if we can get him to get his foot on the ball as well, he's got that great asset of winning the ball and tackling.
Yeah.
Tremendous. He's had a 15-year career. Now. Right. He's played for Gillingham, Wimbledon, Barnet. But if we hadn't gone to Ashford that day, he probably wouldn't be playing football now.
But you didn't need stats to tell you that you want to take that kid to Charlton and have a look at him more. I looked
at one aspect of his game, hoping that we'd provide the other one. Now, we must have done that because he wouldn't have played so long.
Yeah.
So you're not going to see the finished product. You're not going to go to a game and see somebody who can do everything. There's not many people about. You've got to take a bit of a gamble on a player as well sometimes.
SOF has said, don't clubs agree personal terms before a bid goes in? Not always. Lots of the times you will see that a fee has been agreed, but player needs to sort out personal terms. Look at Raheem Sterling at Chelsea. The fee was agreed ages ago. It's personal terms that they were talking about. So it's not always the same for each deal, but we can't say that we bid for it, that we didn't get a player that we never bid for. I just don't understand that. That's like me saying, I didn't buy that Ferrari from the Ferrari showroom last week. Well, did I go to the bloke selling it and say, here's my credit card, buy it? No, then I can't. I looked at it, right? I didn't attempt to buy it.
Every deal is different, isn't it?
Of course it is. Perchy, big up to you as well, mate. What's the weather like in Barcelona? Perchy lives in Barcelona.
Where?
Is it?
I don't know.
I mean, it's glorious. It's glorious out here at the moment. Absolutely glorious. Luana said, "Are you going to sign another centre back with Lenglet? Because then it would be a very good thing for Spurs. But Lenglet only is not enough." I agree, Luan. I think. Again, I don't know about you, Graham, bringing Lenglet in on a loan doesn't take your budget. So it allows you to go and buy another centre-half. And I don't subscribe to this, we're waiting until next year when Vardial and Bastoni are available, because you can't only have one target. Can you? Tottenham Hotspur, Paratici and his scouts will have a long list of centre-backs they want. It can't be, Bastoni's not free this year, we'll wait a year. You've got to still be doing bits in the background, right?
Yeah, I would like another one in there as well. I'm not convinced. Eric Dyer had a good season last year, but if you watch a lot of him, set pieces and everything else, he does a lot of things wrong for a defender. But there you go. He was solid. I think having Romero one side of him and Lenglet the other, it's easier to play in a 3, isn't it? Because you've got a guy on the other side covering. When you're playing in a 2, you're a little bit more exposed, especially if your fullbacks are pushing up, which happens, leaves you on your own. No, I wouldn't mind getting. I'm greedy. I want more players.
Yeah. 154 of you in the chat, only 58 likes. Smash that like button, people. Graham and I could be out in the sun, but we're here talking to you, and it's free. You don't have to pay anything, unless you do want to pay anything, unless you want a super chat for Graham and I to talk about, and 50% of the money goes to charity. Let's have a look. Hello, Aditya. How are you, sir? He has said, Savva, why are Spurs fans so woke? I don't know what woke means. Sorry. Why do they keep calling Levy as their darling after some good signings? Why don't they raise their standards? I agree with that bit. I think we've made some good signings, and then people tell me that I should apologise to Levy for not liking him. He's been at this club nearly 22 years. He should be apologising to fans like me that pay to go and watch. What do you think, Graham?
Well, he's taken him 22 years. I don't know how long they want to finally get it sort of sorted out. They won't put them at the end of this window. There won't be much difference between ins and outs, I don't think. Already we've got the money for Bergwijn. If Winks goes as well, all this adds up. He won't be far out of the end. He's a businessman. That's why he's got so much money.
Yeah.
I mean, Lewis is not all that money for not doing it right. He's they know.
This 150 million, Graham. Well, this number is a great big myth that everyone bought into, because already. So what we spent 90, we've recruited 35 back. you're probably going to see Lo Celso go out, Winks go out, Roden go out, Tanganga go. We will. I think we will make £100 million back in sales, if not more.
We've got to be careful. If we let too many go, we're going back to that squad again, aren't we?
Yeah.
Depth and bench.
Yeah. No, that is a concern. Graham,
he won't be far out, mate. I'll tell you, he's not daft, is he?
No, of course he's not. He's not. Listen, I don't. But by the way, I don't hate him as a man. By the way, I just hate the way that he's run our club. Because I don't get excited by stadiums and I don't get excited by training grounds and golf complexes and cinemas and hotels. I want to see for the last 22 years some success on the pitch, and he's given us our biggest trophy drought ever.
See, that infrastructure's great, stadium, training ground, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, the money has to come back into the team at some point. Now, I know what he's doing. He builds the infrastructure up. More money comes into the club. In theory, it goes into the team. Now, do we trust them to do that? In 5 years' time, are we still going to be tinkering around with 20 million players and 30 million? I don't know. I don't know. But, he's done great in that aspect. But at the end of the day, that money has to come back into the team. Because believe it or not, we're here to play football.
Yeah, apparently so. Perchia said football is a simple game. It really, really is a simple game.
Played by simple people.
But that has been so overcomplicated by stat people, by technology that isn't needed. I mean, like VAR for me has killed football.
My friend was a physio at Charlton, and when we did the Saturday morning Colts games, and he used to go in there. I didn't go in there. He went in the dressing room. The coach did his bit, and he came out. He said, "You know what?" He said, "Those boys don't understand what they're saying."
Yeah.
He said they're listening, going tuck in here, tuck in there, and they come out and they haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
It's all jargon and nonsense. Keep it simple. These are the 2 or 3 things I want you to concentrate on this half.
Yeah.
Not all these slip sheets and everything else. Those players, after half an hour, even 20 minutes, won't remember anything he said. And also in the heat of the battle, you're not going to sit and say, hang on a minute, what did the coach say I've got to do here? It happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And a lot of coaches confuse. It's confusion all the time with these blooming clipboards they're carrying around.
Okay, Liam Osborne has said, you sound like a boomer, though, Savva. Do you know what a boomer is? What's a boomer?
It's kangaroo, isn't it?
Can somebody in the chat who's probably younger and cooler than I am, what's a boomer? He's put club sign players based off stats. Listen, I'm not saying there's no stats involved, but the best scouts that I've seen and worked with, they don't need a million things. Some of the best scouts, like I know that you've worked with, so if we're looking at people like Jeff Fattir, I remember good old Jeff Fattir, who scouted brilliant people. I remember we met in that time when he was with Carno. Do you remember?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
But just before you do,
Yeah.
Like I remember speaking to Jeff Fattir, and Jeff Fattir said, if I go to a game, he said, I'll see a player do one thing, right? Then they've got my eye. If I see another thing from them that I like, that's me. That's me. Then obviously you bring them to where you need, or you go and watch them again. But you don't need to go, he completed 94 of 106 attempted passes. It's not always needed. That can be coached.
He drove down into France one day to watch a tournament. And when he got back to Charlton, nobody mentioned it at all. He said, I could have gone on holiday. Nobody. But when he was there, the Arsenal scout, Arsene Wenger, actually rang him every day to talk about the players he'd seen. And that's why Arsenal do get all these great players in. But scouting, look, it's hard. It's not an easy thing sometimes. You've got to take instinct. You get some wrong, you get some right. Yeah, there we go.
Sorry, just quickly. Sorry, someone's messaged me something and it's really, really silly. When you were scouting players, Graham, did you ever have a clipboard? Did you ever go back and were you asked when you had to recommend players to come to Charlton Sedge? Were you ever asked, but what was their pass completion? What was their sprinting and final third? What was their ball receiving to ball loss retention?
See, my job was to provide players for the academy. So I had all these development centres going. And so they could come into me and relax and have 6 months, 9 months. You only get 4 weeks at an academy, or it was. I don't know if it still is now. So, Yeah.
Yeah, look, again, lots of people now talking about stats. I think this is true. DIC Jones 69 has said it's not the be all and end all, but stats have a part to play. Absolutely, they do. I'm not knocking that. What I hate is when I'm told a player isn't like lots of threads I've been on recently, lots of shows where people going, "Oh, Luis Diaz isn't very good." If you look at his stats for the final,
don't look at them then.
Watch Luis Diaz play. If anyone watches Luis Diaz play and doesn't think that's a good footballer, God forbid.
But I never looked at stats. Finishing I went completely blank then. I never looked at stats at all. What you two take a game. I remember bringing a player in once. He was a centre half. Nothing special. He did one great header, clearing header, and I brought him into Charlton. I think he was there about 8 years. I was quite proud of that. Really, it was a really big gamble, and he had a good career. And he played non-league as well. It was just one thing he did during the game. But obviously, stats. I mean, they will look at them. But you've got to watch a player. They got rooms with videos everywhere. They get sent videos day in, day out of players. You've got to watch somebody. I would never sign anybody just on stats personally.
Dave wrote a good subject, guys. Are we liking this subject? Should we move on?
Yes.
Dave Raybold has said stats are for sports scientists. I don't watch and enjoy football through stats. I watch and enjoy football by watching football. SOF has said Gill looks a good player, but he has no end product. Eye test versus stats. First of all, this phrase eye test, I don't know where it's come from, right? I don't think anyone watches Gill and thinks he's great. Gill's got some nice touches. Technically, he looks nice, right? But no one's ever going to watch Gill and go, "Oh, that's a player." I don't need stats to tell me that Brian Hill isn't that great, do I?
See, stats will make him look good. But is he good enough for the standard we're playing at? Yes, he might be very, very skillfully. I mean, you could put a boy of 11 in then, couldn't you, and say, "Oh, he's got fantastic stats. Look at his control of the ball." But he wouldn't be up to playing in men's football. Mm-hmm. So, you've got to watch it. I can't believe anybody is signed through just looking at stats. I'll be staggered.
Ian, hope you feel better soon. The Mad Darlow fan has got COVID. I hope you feel better soon. It's going round again, isn't it?
Season starts soon.
Let's just go through some of the comments quickly, Graham. Kev Williams, is it true that Lenglet won't be travelling to Korea as he doesn't have a work permit? Pass. I do not know. Daryl Denton has said New York Yankees spent billions since 2009 going off stats to build the perfect team. Guess what? It didn't work. Luan has said, in my opinion, stats are ruining football. Football is a very simple game that is being ruined by very complicated stats. 0.16 this and expected 90 that. And etc. He's put, bloody hell, I don't need that. Agreed. I mean, Luan, at the end of a game, I don't need someone to tell me a stat to tell me if Højbjerg had a good game. My judgment of if I'm just picking any player, could have been anyone. I don't need anyone to tell me. Well, if you actually look at the second half, Højbjerg completed 92 passes out of 98 attempted. What a great game!
Boring.
I don't understand why anyone gets any enjoyment out of that at all. Orange Fancy said Lenglet or Davis who starts. For me, that's not even a debate. It's Lenglet every time. Perchy has said it's 29 degrees today and I live in the Sant Pau district, just off the Sagrada Familia.
We're not jealous.
No, we're not jealous at all. Tayab has said, would you take Lewis Dunk from Brighton? I don't mind Lewis Dunk as a player, but again, I thought the point of getting Conte, the point of getting Champions League football, of building that stadium, I thought the point was that we went and got much better than that.
He's got a lot of Premiership experience, of course.
He has,
and must be overworked a lot of the games. I know they've done better recently, but he must be under pressure a lot. So, it's a stopper, isn't he, really? He's a strong centre-half.
Yeah. Absolutely. Perchy said, get to 100 likes, guys. That would be brilliant. We are currently on 81. I've seen there's a super chat. I've not got to it yet. I will read it in a second. I don't know who sent it. Roman Lagos has said, what is the opinion on Piero Hincapi? I've only seen Hincapi a couple of times. Looks very good for his age. I don't know whether or not that's the age of the player that Conte wants. Have you seen Hincapi, Graham?
No. Sorry, I can't comment on him.
He's 20, I believe, Ecuadorian. Looks good. Lots of people are raving about him, but I haven't seen anything linking us to him. SOF has said, can't wait until next summer. City or Liverpool could need less centre-backs. Vardial will have a cheap release clause next summer. Bigger teams will be ahead in the queue. Agreed. I agree. I think that will be the case this season, this summer as well. If we want centre-backs, go and get them, because at some point, Chelsea are going to move. Man City will move on a centre-back if they lose Ake. Man United are going to go for a centre-half. I wouldn't be doubtful that Arsenal will go for another centre-half. Got to move quickly, haven't you, Graham? You've got to move quickly.
They'll take all the best ones, won't they?
Yeah.
They're obviously happy with what they got at the moment.
Eddie Reiner said, I've seen Bastoni a few times and wasn't impressed with him. Look, like any player, Bastoni I've seen have some brilliant games, and I've seen some games where he doesn't look all that. And I think that's the difficulty when we're judging players. Not many players can play to that elite level week in, week out, can they?
No, I never did.
I never saw you have a good game.
No, you can go to a game and someone has a real off day, but I think a quality player does things during any game where you think, oh, he's good. He might make a few mistakes more than the last game, but you can tell. To me, it doesn't take long to see who the really good player. When you go to a game, people stand out, don't they? Oh,
for sure. For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Where are we? Lots of comments. Thank you. Keep them coming in. We are now up to 82 likes. Please smash that like button. It really does help. Chris has said, Levy got a lot more to do before getting an apology. 22 years of shit investment in players while every club progressed. We regressed. Let's be honest, just because he spent this season means nothing. Agreed. And even then, I feel like everyone's going on as though we've gone and bought 5 or 6 world-class players. This is a summer that I would expect any summer. I don't think we've gone and got a player we couldn't have got without Champions League football. Yes. I'm not belittling the signings, but should we be able to get Richarlison from Everton without Champions League football? Yes. Should we be able to get Basuma from Brighton without Champions League football? Yes. Could we get Longley on loan? Yes. Could you get Fraser Forster on a free? Yeah. I don't see that we've done anything amazing.
Yeah, they're trying to make clever signings without spending a lot, really, aren't they? Apart from Carlos.
Matthew Lumsden said, Savva, how long until you join Graham with white hair? I can honestly tell you, I've got no white hair.
I'm wearing a white beanie. It's not hair. Did you think it was hair?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, now it's blowing in the fan. It's kind of giving it away there, isn't it? Keep your messages coming in.
Tell you what, it soon grows on your head. This white hair. Beware all you people with dark hair.
A user said, "Hey Savva, why has Romero not been announced on a perm deal?" I don't know, to be honest. I don't know what the terms of his contract were. I don't know the ins and outs of that. All I know is he's at Spurs, and
it's never mentioned, is it? Either?
No, it's not. No, it's not. But
the game set will sort it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be fine. Yeah. PB and Jammer said, I think we should keep Ndombele if we can't get another midfielder. Graham, keep Ndombele?
Well, I wouldn't, but I think he's done his bit. God, I'd move him on there.
What a mess of a professional he is.
How many chances do you want? Really?
I don't know. I don't get it. Everyone wants to keep giving Ndombele a chance. If I performed that badly in my job for 3 years, I would have been sacked about 4 times over.
Yeah. We need the money for him as well.
Perchi has said that he never bought into the 150 million. I know why it was done. It was to allow ENIC to gain more shares, to allow them to look at the potential to sell up in the future. 150 million was not all on transfers. Bang on, Perchi. Yeah. And anyone who read that statement properly would have read about the shares and about what it means. Anyone who just wanted to think we were going to go and spend purely 150 million on top of what we make in player sales is crazy. I just don't think there was any way in which we were going to spend net 150 million, Graham. Was there?
No way at all.
Never. TJAG3 has said we could have had plenty of League Cups during the Poch era, but always played the second team, even in the semis. Yeah. I disagree. I just think Poch was beaten by better teams. I think he gets lots of people say, we didn't really try in the cups, but I thought he just got things tactically very wrong.
Substitutions, I didn't think were very good.
Yeah. So, but I get what you're saying, though.
Could have done with winning one of those.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I see his time as a failure, but I'm not getting into a Poch conversation. All I can tell you now is that Poch isn't at a top club, and it's for a reason. Savva, Levy has lowered the standards and expectations of fans so much that fans even take training centre and stadium as a trophy. Your thoughts? Absolutely. Yeah. The number of conversations I have with people about Levy and Enoch, and they go, but look at that stadium, right? I get to go to that stadium twice a month for 90 minutes. Twice a month for 90 minutes. And apparently I should be grateful because the stadium's lovely. All I care about, Graham, is that patch of grass in the middle where those 22 men run around on.
That stadium's great if money eventually is going to come back to be ploughed into the team.
Yeah.
If it's just going to go into Enoch's pockets, what's the point?
Danny has said people overhyping our window. I'm not that impressed. I think it's been decent. I think it's been good, but like you're saying, Dan, I think people are massively over-egging it.
A lot of early stuff this time. Obviously, Conte's had a word and said, look, we're going to turn to Korea. I can never understand why they left it late, because we've already had 4 or 5 games, haven't we? Sometimes when the window closes. I can't see the point. You want your team sorted out. He wants to take... So obviously his influence to get players in early is clear, isn't it?
Yeah. So just quickly, Boomer. Boomer. Somebody's put Boomer, laugh out loud. 24Z has told us that a Boomer is like an older, slower person, I think. I mean, if you were calling this guy an older, slower person, sorry. Yeah. How old do you think I am?
I can't see the point of saying it.
People are just silly, aren't they?
If it's just to be rude, I just think, well...
Yeah, that guy wasn't. He was just explaining what it meant.
No, that's right.
Ellie, thank you so much for the super chat. Ellie is Queen Ellie. For anyone who doesn't know her, Ellie played many years for Spurs ladies. And multiple times at the old White Hart Lane. Ellie has said, yes. And Ellie, I'm hearing rumours you were a very good player. I mean, talk to me. What sort of player were you? Greaves was a bad trainer. All he needed was his instinct, and he perfected the art. And look, he is England's record goal scorer and scored brilliant goals. I mean, Jimmy Greaves, Graham, you saw him live, right?
A lot of these players smoke 20 cigarettes a day. You remember that. You know, all this training and all this homes that they are now. He was just fantastic. He just sort of sailed across the ground, and he could finish so easily. You know, he used to aim at the goal, he said, because no one can be that accurate. He used to say. I'll
tell you what, this is great. But Eddie, thank you so much for the super chat. As you know, half of that goes to charity, so thank you very much. Kuva is in the house. Hello, Kuva. How are you, sir? Kuva, it never fails to make me laugh. This man. He has said, "Big up, Savva and Graham." Great name, by the way. I think he's talking about you. I don't think he's being nice to me. He normally cusses me.
Graham Kuva?
I don't know. Kuva, is your name Graham? He's put, totally agree about technology. Only goal line tech seems worth it to me. Yeah. The rest just slows down the game and ruins the moment.
The offside is beyond... I don't know what to comment on the offside. They've made it so complicated.
Ridiculous,
How can somebody's ear be more offside than somebody's foot?
It's ridiculous.
What do you run with? Your ear?
But, Graham, I agree. Goal line technology for me is brilliant because it's an absolute, right? It's
easy to do.
It's not a grey area. The ball either went over or it didn't. VAR was meant to take away all of these decisions and talking points and bad mistakes. Some of the VAR decisions we've seen over the last couple of years has been shocking. What I don't
understand is there are 4 officials on the ground plus a monitor.
Yeah.
What on earth do you need to go somewhere else in some closed up room somewhere? Can't those 4 sort it out? They're not qualified enough to do it. Referee, walk across to the monitor, have a look. Sometimes you wait 5-6 minutes, don't you? And then eventually he goes and looks at the monitor.
This is the big thing for me. If there is a decision to be made, right? Yeah. Why does the ref not just immediately run to the monitor, look, and say, "Done"?
Too easy.
He stands there like this.
Jobs for the boys.
3 minutes. All the players are standing around. The fans are just looking like this, and then he'll go, "Hang on, I'm going to go to the monitor." Yeah. Why not just go to the monitor?
It's very amateurish.
Oh, it's pathetic.
It's
It's a simple game made really difficult.
Technology.
Lots of people still talking about a Boomer. Never mind. Don't care about Boomer anymore, guys. SOF has said, if Spurs are getting rid of Winks and Tanganga, surely there's a few homegrown players coming in. Guehi, Maddison and Elise will be top of my list. Look, I agree. I think we've got to get the homegrown quota sorted. Why not go and make an audacious bid for a James Maddison? If, as every fan tells me, they're spending 150 million, go and spend 70 million of it on James Maddison.
Tremendous player. Scores goals as well.
Oh, great player. And he's got that bit of nasty you need. He's got that bit of, listen, I'm all for players being lovely all the time, but you've got to have a bit of steel, a bit of. A ditcher said, "Oh no, they're talking about that still." Marlon, how are we doing, my man? I hope you are well. He's put modern day managers do use stats though. Look at Pep in the Man City documentary. It's a 50-50 stats in your eyes. Listen, Marlon, as I said, I'm not saying stats are not needed at all. I'm just saying it can go well overboard. Let's be really honest. If Pep Guardiola needs stats to tell his scouting team which player he wants to buy, I'd be shocked.
Do you not think they do it mainly on running stats as well during the game? If they look at that player and say, well, hang on a minute, look at his stat. He's not been running about this guy. Look at he's really low. I wonder whether that's the main thing they're looking at sometimes. Because his eyes surely can pick up the rest. Yeah,
I mean, Daryl Denton has said, blame the film Moneyball. I've seen Moneyball. That's Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill, I think. Yeah, it's about a baseball team that was struggling. They were terrible. And the new manager comes in and he doesn't play the big name players. He plays the players that have got the best stats for each phase of the game. And then they end up winning.
Oh, right.
So apparently now it's the way all sport is. But thank you for that, Daryl. Gil is Kulusevski with no end product. I don't think he is. Kulusevski is a powerful player for me. Kulusevski, not blessed with pace, but he's blessed with a turn of pace. He drops a shoulder. He can go past his man. Yeah. He's got good close control.
I'm not sure he's physically strong enough to play that level.
No, I just don't think there's any end product from the guy. No. But I don't need stats to tell me there's no end product. I just watch him. Let's have a look. What I want to talk to you, Graham, about.
Not stats.
But again, Mitch, this is the thing. Stats from other leagues are meaningless when applied to the Premier League. I think stats from any league can't be based against stats to any other league. It doesn't mean anything, right? It's different teams, different tempos, different opposition, different formations, different managers. It's all different. So as I said, let's round off the stats chat. I'm not against stats, but I'm against overuse of them. I don't need people going, oh, well, if you actually look at sofascore.com and see, I don't need that.
We need stats to work out how long we've been talking about stats.
Yeah, absolutely. Graham, I want to talk to you about this. I want to talk to you about Spurs versus Liverpool.
Ah, interesting.
Every thread I'm on, that's not true. Every show I'm on, I'm being convinced by, I don't believe it, but people are trying to convince me we're better than Liverpool in every way. Our forward line's better. Our midfield's better. We're getting a better defence. What are people seeing, Graham, that I'm not? Why am I wrong?
Well, if you look at the league table last year, how many points ahead of us did they finish?
Yeah, like 23, wasn't it?
That's the only thing you can go on. Now, will it be different this year? Who knows? I think it would take a lot to get Liverpool off that perch. It'll take at least 2 years, I think, to make that, unless they start crumbling. And they won't crumble, I don't think. Not with him as manager as well. I think he drives them forward. But no, I mean, if we got better forwards and better this and better that, what are we not doing right then? We must be doing something very wrong because we're nowhere near him in the league.
But so then why am I? I mean, I watched a show the other night. It was Henry's show. I can't even remember who was on with him. And people were saying, "Oh, our midfield now is better than Liverpool's." Talk to me. How is our midfield better than Liverpool's when they've got players like Thiago Alcantara and Fabinho?
I just think he's got everything right there. He's got the right people in the right places, and he is the big influence as well. You've only got to watch him on the line. I mean, he's a nightmare sometimes, isn't he? Beating his chest and everything. But he drives them forward. He gets the extra 20, 30% and probably gets them another 15 points as well. So maybe, but for Klopp, maybe nearer. Now, whether Conte will do that as well and bridge the gap. But they score so many goals, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, we score goals, but don't they score any goals? say our forward line's better, they still score a lot of goals, don't they?
But this is what made me laugh. When you look at how many goals they scored last year, right, and how many goals we scored.
Look at Jota.
Why is our forward line better than theirs?
Look at Jota, the third striker. Where is our third striker that would score? How many goals did he get?
I don't know, 15,
I mean, I like
20?
Kulusevski, but he's not going to score the goals that Jota got. Then they've got other people to come in. Look at Origi, all the years he played there. When they did use him, he scored as well. So there must be a reason Liverpool are above us. Now, we can analyse that reason because we were 9 years out of 10, we finished above them in the league. So something's happened in the last 4 or 5 years that's changed that.
Yeah,
so I worked that one out.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing for me. I'm not saying we can't close a gap. I'm not saying we can't get closer to them.
We will close it a little bit.
This is a team, Graham, that 4 weeks ago, just 4 weeks ago, won the League Cup and the FA Cup, missed out on the Premier League with 10 minutes of the season to go, and lost the Champions League in the final 1-0. And then all of a sudden, we get Basuma and Perisic in, and we're better than them up front. We're better in midfield. Our defence is nearly as good. I just can't.
Well, up to now, that's not true, is it?
It's not.
Up to now, that's wrong, because the league table suggests, tells us that they're 25 points better than us.
Yeah.
So that what they say there can't be right, can it?
No, of course it's not right.
If we're better than them all over the place, then why are we so far behind them? Now, whether it changes this year dramatically, I doubt dramatically. I think Conte's obviously a great person to have with us. He'll drive them forward as well. He'll get that extra bit out of them. But they're obviously doing something very right, aren't they?
Just quickly, Paul, big up to you, mate. Hope you're well. Paul is great guy. He does my thumbnails and he did my video for me. So thank you very much. If anyone needs anything, go over to this guy. He won't charge you the earth and he will make you some good stuff. Let's have a look. KM Honga said, it's good, but still many holes and we need the same standard in the future. I think this is the key thing, right? I think it's been a good window, but because I don't say it's been amazing, people will say I'm glass half empty or negative, but I don't see anything that's made me go, wow.
No. The major component that we've got, or one of the major components, is wing backs. That's the system he plays. So it's important to get 2 top-class wing backs doing that, because that's one of his main things of attacking play. Now, if you look at the ones we've got, are they good enough to implement that? Now, I would say no. Royal's nowhere near it. Doherty's not a bad backup. The other side, Session's, in my opinion, nowhere near it. Perisic, hopefully, will do that job down that left side. But while we've got chinks in your armour now, have Liverpool got those chinks? Have Liverpool got a Man City? They haven't got any chinks, have they? Everything's good in every department.
Yeah, absolutely. GK Clark here said offside would be easier if it was daylight between players.
I agree. I like that as well.
Yeah, I just feel that when we're talking about that much and you're offside, it's ridiculous. The whole point, do you remember, was that it was meant to be the advantage to the attacker, so we see more goals. And now, even if you're in line with someone, they'll go, oh, well, his shoelace was just...
his beard was offside.
Yeah. Oh, God, It's... Perchy's going to chuck a donation in when we get to 100 likes. We are on 101. Perchy, get your wallet out, my friend. Yes, THFC said, it shouldn't need the help of a team at Stockley Park. Yeah, I completely agree. SAH89, hello, welcome back, sir. He has said, why don't they take a leaf out of the rugby book? If they are on mic and use the screen in the stadium, quicker and better decisions. I agree. Why not?
Yeah,
But I think all of this, you've said this to me for years, all of this could be solved if the ref goes straight to the screen, takes a look.
Also, what does the fourth official do?
I don't know.
From putting the board up to say the time. Why can't he message across to the fourth official and say, have a look at that screen for us? And the other guy says, offside. I know obviously the bloke in charge has got to look at it. I realise that. But we make such a big old fuss about it, don't we? It's unbelievable.
Tottenham Away have said we need to sign Bremer. He's the level required. Longley is an unnecessary risk. What's the risk of Longley?
No. You've got to.
What? Sorry, just
every play he signs a risk.
Why is Lenglet an unnecessary risk? Surely on a loan, that negates any risk, right? If he's not good, we send him back. I don't understand the risk.
Are people just going entirely by the fact he couldn't get in a weaker Barcelona side that actually finished second in the league, by the way? I don't know. I think, look, let's give the bloke a chance. Let's give him a chance. He's a very, very experienced player. Give him a chance. We're slating him before he's even got in the club. He's not even put his shorts on yet.
Mm-hmm. Liverpool primarily use Moneyball for their scouting transfer methods, to be fair. I'm sure they do, but you're not telling me a scout went to watch Thiago Alcantara and needed stats to say that he was one of the best midfielders in Europe.
Well, we could have rung them up.
Right. No one needed stats to tell them that Virgil van Dijk was a world-class centre-half. No one needed stats to tell them that Alisson was a class goalkeeper. I'm sorry, but it's really over-egged.
Liverpool will know every player in Europe.
Oh, of course they will.
Weaknesses, obviously, but they've got a long list there, and they'll just work their way through it. They must have known about Van Dijk, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I mean, someone's made a great point, Graham. I mean, if we're talking about, do you need any stat to tell you how good Zidane was, or to tell you how good Messi is? Do you need any stat at all to tell you that Franco Baresi was a world-class centre-half?
It's gone overboard.
It's gone mad. It's just gone mad.
VAR as well.
It's turned fans into robots.
Technology.
I really feel like when I'm talking to fans now, most of the time I feel like no one's talking about what they've seen. Everyone's talking about, well, if you actually look at the stats after the game, it's just like, even Sky Sports now, at the end of the game, they used to show goals, possession, corners, yellows, reds, offsides, right? Yeah. Now it's about 20 things they show.
So don't look at it.
Who cares? Elliot said, I was a creative attacking midfielder, Savva and Graham, and I scored some beauties and assisted with many goals. I got fouled a lot as I was the lady Jack Grealish, the most fouled player, as I was very tricky.
Respect.
Fair play to you.
Say, Ellie, respect.
Fair play to you. Paul Holden has said, big up Savva and Graham. Big up to you as well, Paul. Brian has said stats can make you good and bad. Absolutely. It depends how we want to spin them. Peter and Jam has said you can make a case for our front line, but overall Liverpool are the better team. I mean, even when you look at their front line last season, Salah, Mane and Jota, how many did they score between them?
I think their intensity is so great.
I agree.
I think that's one of the major differences. Their intensity is phenomenal. Again, coming from the manager. And I think that they win games that some other teams wouldn't win because of the intensity of the way they play. City do it with great football, but they do it with football as well. But obviously, they're all over you, aren't they? It's so hard, especially at their ground.
SAH just said, to be honest, Savva, the only thing Liverpool did better, remember that, the only thing Liverpool did better than Spurs is beating the lower league teams. Liverpool were the worst performers versus the other top four. I'm sorry, mate, they finished 23 points above us. So it wasn't the only thing Liverpool did better than us.
Doesn't matter. Then we've got to learn to beat those lesser teams.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We
weren't good enough to do that.
Look, guys, we finished 20-odd points behind Liverpool. That, we're talking what, 7 wins?
Yeah, I think give them respect.
The belittling of these clubs is baffling.
They're in the position we're not.
THFC 14 has said we have 3 players who make Liverpool's 11. Probably. Liverpool have a wonderful squad.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
The other day when people were going, Basuma Bentancur is better than Liverpool's midfield 3. In what way? In what way is that midfield better? Kuva has said, wash your mouth out, Savva. We're doing the quadruple because the delusion makes me feel tingly in my special place. Ooh, thanks, Kuva. I needed to know about your special place and your tingles. Luan has said, Liverpool were 2 games away from doing the quadruple, and some of you Spurs fans thinks that you were better than them. Yeah. Please don't make... I agree. What I wouldn't mind, Luan, is I wouldn't mind if something significant had happened. I wouldn't mind if Spurs had gone out and bought a Bastoni and a James Maddison. Then all of a sudden you go, hang on. That hasn't happened. And Liverpool have signed players. Yeah. All the people belittling Luis Diaz. It baffles me. You all wanted him. In the January transfer window, every Spurs fan, oh my God, Luis Diaz. He joins for Liverpool. Oh, no, look at him. He's not very good. We're doing it now with Darwin Núñez.
If he'd have signed for us, he'd have been the best thing since sliced bread.
Right. But they're doing it now with Núñez, Graham. Núñez, he's no good. I bet you he scores a bundle of goals for Liverpool. A bundle of goals.
Respect, I think. Give him respect.
Foggy Foamer said the one who is key is Fabinho. The guy's a monster. Look, I think Fabinho is class at what he does, but Thiago Alcantara plays the game his way and controls the game of football from start to finish.
Proper footballer.
We don't have a midfielder that can put their foot on the ball and control it like Thiago Alcantara. No. And until we do, no one can tell me that our midfield is anywhere near Liverpool's. Even the front three. On paper, you might say Kane, Son and Kulusevski is better than Diaz, Salah and Jota or Núñez, but they scored more goals.
Yeah.
Why did they score more goals if ours was better? SAH again belittling Liverpool. Liverpool were in 3 finals, scored none in 3 times 90 minutes. Jota has worse output than Richarlison did over the last few seasons. Honestly, I don't see them being clear.
Much better than
SAH. When you're saying you honestly don't see them being clear, that's not an opinion. Factually, they are miles clear of us. Factually, the league table does not lie, my friend. I just can't. I don't get what these people watch.
These finals, aren't they? We're not.
Right. Wow.
Don't be too biased. I mean,
yeah.
You've got to,
Not saying you're wrong, but our front line didn't start scoring until November and Kulu joined. Right?
Yeah.
But why didn't they score until... Yeah, but why didn't they start scoring until November? Liverpool start scoring immediately. So if ours are better, why weren't they scoring from...
It all comes down to consistency.
Of course
Liverpool are very consistent, so are Man City, and we're not. Until
Absolutely.
That's addressed, it will stay as it is.
Yeah. Percy, thank you so much for the big for the donation. 100 likes and the donation. Savva, let's arrange a stream together. Keep up the good work, mate. Let's do one next week. Always enjoy listening to your opinions. We don't agree on everything, but that's absolutely fine. Let's have a look. It's there. The league table is the best stat.
Yes.
It's the only stat.
Funny enough, it is.
It is, yeah. Conte isn't the type to stick around and wait. Spurs need to do business fast.
Yeah.
Elia said, like Gaza guys, Kulu loves the game. He lives and breathes football. When he was dropped to the bench for the Leicester match, he gave Conte answers why he deserves to start. Agreed. And that's what top players do. If you're rested or dropped, you come back in, make an impact. Yeah. In my opinion, the refs need to be interviewed after the game to explain their controversial decisions. I don't think it will ever happen, but I would like to see it. N17 Spurs has said, why the F pay 60 million for Richarlison and not get a top centre-back? I think, look, this is what I said a while back about Richarlison. I don't mind him as a player. I don't think he's terrible. I'm not excited by it. But what will annoy me is if we paid 60 million for him, but then don't go and buy a top centre-half. So I agree with you.
He's obviously watched him during the season. You watch the other teams, and he obviously feels he's got a bit of nasty in him. And he likes that in him. He likes that little bit of nasty. And it's obviously a Conte signing, isn't it? Conte must have said to Paratici, I like him, and him are the ones I like watching the other teams last year.
Yeah.
We'll see again.
Yeah. Savva, Liverpool have evolved their model. They ain't money ball because we wouldn't sign Thiago or resign Salah. We have told Salah a few seasons ago, I'm a Liverpool fan. Look, at the end of the day, top clubs buy top players. Yeah. Thiago Alcantara, again, no one needed stats to tell you how good Thiago Alcantara was. Watched him for years at Barca, then at Bayern. Wonderful footballer. Only didn't make it at Barca. When I say make it, the only reason he wasn't a core in that team was because they had Xavi, Iniesta and Busquets. But what a player, Graham. Thiago Alcantara is.
I don't know why Barca let him go. What happened there? Something happened there.
They had loads of players.
Brilliant player. Tremendous player.
Paul Highfield has said we have the best front four in the Prem. Okay, we may well do, but it's not just a front four that wins things. Stats are the same as highlight videos. I watch them from Dombele, oh dear. Fans watch these videos and think they've scouted the player. I agree. I think one thing we've got to take into account, Graham, forgetting stats, is what stats can't tell you is a player's mentality. They can't tell you about how he'll adapt to moving to a different country, whatever country that may be. Yeah. That it doesn't take into account, is he picking his children out of a school and moving them to a new country? It doesn't take into account, does his wife want to move? It doesn't take into account, does his style of football fit a new team? Is that...
Yeah, I see the technology is there, so people are using it. I mean, ideally, would you want to take a laptop onto a bench and be looking at that all the time? But because it's available, they want to use it. I still think it's for the running stats as well a lot. It picks people out perhaps who haven't been, haven't done what he wanted them to do.
Yeah, so I just can't get with it. I don't know who, I know Tottenham away, I've got a few people. I don't know who this is speaking, but said Lenglet is a risk as we signed him, meaning he will play. He's had a poor season. I said it's an unnecessary signing, meaning he's been poor. So why not bring in a quality player in form instead?
He hasn't had a poor season. He hasn't played.
He's hardly played. I mean, so when we're saying he's had a poor season, that's not particularly true. And when we're saying he'll play, well, yeah, he's better than all our centre-backs other than Romero. Why? Surely it's a risk keeping Davis, Sanchez, Rodon, Tanganga. That's the bigger risk. I don't think a lot of people have seen Lenglet play to be saying this.
On the fact that he hasn't played much for Barca this year, but that's a personal opinion of the managers, isn't it? I've seen him a lot for Barca. I think he's a good player.
Didn't Liverpool close a 20-point gap in one season, I guess, to Man City? Yeah, Liverpool did, but Liverpool have got world-class players all over the park.
The big turning point was when they got Virgil van Dijk and the keeper.
Yeah.
That seemed to turn it, because everybody around them suddenly lifted their game.
Yeah. Yeah. Harish Babua said Mourinho didn't give a fuck about stats, possession, only cared about winning and mentality.
Correct.
And that's why Jose Mourinho is one of the most successful managers of all time.
He gets blamed for a lot of things, I think. I never liked him much when he was at Chelsea, used to drive me potty. But when you say, it all started with Mourinho, I don't think it did. Look a bit further back.
Ali A says Savva and Liverpool looking for Jude Bellingham to improve their midfield. Wonderful player. That guy is a wonderful footballer.
See, they will attract players of that quality because they're in the position they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
We won't. See, this is the thing. Would we get Bellingham? No. Sadly not. Much as I'd like him, no, we wouldn't. Because Liverpool have got, like Man City, as soon as clubs come onto a player, and they go, Liverpool, oh yeah, we'll have some. Because look how good they've been in the Champions League and the Cups. All right, they may have lost. See, to say they don't score goals in the final, but at least they get there. We were feeble.
We're very good, Graham. We are very good at belittling successful managers, teams and players.
Let's see how good we are this season.
I mean...
Can't criticise Liverpool, can you? Cry.
Jeff Miller said, I'm sorry, I have to say something. Liverpool last season had the best defence, best keeper, best midfield, best attackers, but failed to score in 3 finals, failed to beat any of the top 4 teams. All right, but we beat top 4 teams and finished 20-odd points off the title. So I don't...
It's the end of the day. How many points you get at the end of the season counts, doesn't it?
Yeah. There's a lot of excuses for Spurs, I feel. This is the thing why I get called negative, because I don't make excuses. Yeah. I look at facts. Right, the facts are Liverpool are better than us, and I don't think enough has been done. All of a sudden, we're going to catch them. Yeah. Ilias is a Liverpool fan. He said, "Why do Spurs fans think they're better than us? You signed some good players. All of a sudden, you think you're winning the quadruple." Yeah. I agree, Ilias. I agree with you. Yeah. I do not understand where this belief has come from. Liam has said, "Savva, I was in your stream the other night. I'm sorry if I came through as disrespectful, but I couldn't believe what I was hearing." Okay. I don't. What with regards to what you were hearing? With regards to what? Let me know what you were hearing, and then I can discuss it with you. Guys, just keep getting those likes in. We're at 109. If you do want to get a super chat, want to get a particular question read out, 50% of that money does go to the British Heart Foundation. Ellie has said, question: if we had Kulu and Benny at the start of the season with content charge, where do you feel we would have finished? I mean, ifs, buts, and maybes. I don't know. I still feel that we wouldn't have had a squad. That's the big thing for me. Is they still would have had to play nearly every game of the season in every competition. And I think that's the big thing. It's not on 11, is it? Football is not on 11.
Got off to a really bad start. I think he was a bit jaded, wasn't he, at the start of the season? I still think keeping him and Son fit is the key to everything.
Coover said, I think we're capable of reaching 90 points. I also think Liverpool and City could fail to be their usual dominant selves. Can I ask why, though? What has happened at Liverpool and City that all of a sudden we think that they're not going to be their dominant selves? I'm just asking the question. What have I missed? Because Man City have just signed the most sought-after striker in world football and strengthened with Calvin Phillips. They're going to get Cucurella. They brought in Alvarez. They've got a wonderful squad. Mahrez is signing a new contract this week. So is Foden. Someone else I saw as well. What's happened there? Why?
We've just got to get more consistency, haven't we? You know, we can't be going to weaker teams or whatever and lose silly games. We've got to get that out of the system to get any chance. It's a lot to make up. But
I mean, Ellie's saying, I personally think we would have finished second with those, as in January we would have strengthened again. I think that the difficulty is, again, even if we'd had Bentancur and Kulusevski from the start of the season, we didn't have any squad. No. They would have been knackered. They would have played every game of the season. And this is what people don't seem to understand. Liverpool can rotate.
Yeah.
Man City can rotate players so that they're not absolutely fatigued.
Fresh when it counts.
Absolutely. The hottest Spurs said, I was and probably still am hoping for a surprise signing today in order to have it done before pre-season. It would be nice to see that. We'll see.
6-7 weeks to go, haven't we?
Tottenham away, as just said on his channel, Depay is coming to Tottenham. Is that true? And why? We don't need another front player. Centre back, right wing back, please. I keep seeing these rumours about Memphis Depay. Yeah. I don't know. Would you take him, Graham?
I'd take him as a squad player, without a doubt. I don't think he's got enough quality. I watched him again a lot at Barca. He hasn't got enough quality. He doesn't fit their sort of. I mean, he's ideal to be in the squad, like he's at Barca. He doesn't play every game, but he's no mug, and I think he'd be a good squad player to have on the bench.
Yeah. THFC Caveman said, how many top teams lost to Brighton, Southampton, and Burnley? And Moura. And Vitesse Arnhem. Right. So
it's all about points total at the end, isn't it? No matter how you get them against who, does it? You know, I mean, we beat Man City twice. It doesn't make us better than them, does it? Because we beat them twice.
Tottenham away has come on and said nobody listed Lenglet as a centre-back they wanted at Spurs, yet now we want to praise him. That's fine. So to be fair, we need to treat Richarlison and Jed Spence in the same way, as nobody listed them too. What an awful, awful, awful theory that is. Just because no one was talking about Lenglet doesn't mean that you can't like him as a player.
Give him a chance. Can we just give him a chance?
I don't understand that logic.
Yeah, give him a chance.
Are we meant
at a very top level?
Are we meant to sit here and list every player in Europe we would like to sign? That's ridiculous logic. Yeah. And no, I don't have to apply that same theory to Jed Spence. I don't have to. Sorry, what a weird. Who is it behind the Tottenham away account today?
Your master.
I think it's Stel. These are really, really weird. That is. Sorry if anyone disagrees with me. I just think that's because nobody had put him in their original list of wanting to buy. It means that we have to. No one's praising him. I just don't think he's this bad player that people are making out.
Not, certainly not.
Pete, thank you so much for the super chat. He said we'd never be prepared to pay for Bellingham. Yeah, I don't think we would ever attempt to get a player like that. And that's the difference between us and Liverpool and us and Man City.
And you'll want to go to Liverpool.
Yeah. Jay Cunningham has said it boils down to this. The players being brought in might have had a poor season or two, but Conte picks players he knows that are great and works them up to a standard. Look, I think football boils down to a couple of things, doesn't it? You get the players the manager wants, you get the players all working hard, and then the ability should shine through. Yeah? But you can't have 11 players for a season. You've got to have a squad.
No, that cost us, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's cost us.
Ellie said, when Leicester won the league, we scored more goals and let in less. Only Man City scored 2 more, but finished behind us. So stats are not important in the league table. Who's top all that counts. That again, this is what counts. Yeah. When you win things, you win things. Spurs don't. Let's have a look. Mr. Mistra said it's going to be Liverpool and City title race again. I don't think any team is close to them. It's them, and then the rest of the league will play for third. I agree. I agree. I think Chelsea in a couple of years will be back to challenging for titles. I think their new owners need to get their feet under the table, but they will buy big. Chelsea will buy the likes of Sterling, serial title-winning player. They'll sign the likes of a Koulibaly or a De Ligt. You know, they'll go and get top players while we're talking about bringing in players like Jed Spence.
Will people like Levy just be content to be in the top 4 for the money?
Possibly.
Has he got the intent to win things? Then he's got to be spending more money.
Kevin McBain has said we took 1 point out of 6 versus Southampton, and now we are topping Liverpool, Man City. Yikes!
Yeah.
I agreed. Consistency is everything. I keep seeing, Graham, everyone go, "Oh, well, we beat Man City twice, right?" But we lost to Mura. Right? Yeah, we lost to Burnley. Yeah. We lost in the Cup to Middlesbrough. Right? It's consistency. Liam Savva, hearing that Tottenham has better left back than us, better front three than us, and a better midfield than us. You lot made 2 good signings, and you're on for the quad. And he's a Liverpool fan. Liam, I agree with you. Liam. As I said, I think, can we close a gap? Can we close a 20-odd point gap? Yes. Have we done anything significant to suddenly finish above you? I don't think so. But Spurs fans are getting really carried away. Don't you think, Graham?
I don't understand all this knocking of Liverpool or something. I just admire what they've done, surely. Goodness me, that's what we've got to aspire to do what they've done. But, they're up there in everything, aren't they? It's one of the best teams in the Champions League.
Coover has said Liverpool and City can't keep up this insane generation of points forever, surely. United eventually fell after years of dominance. We're massive underdogs, but why deny things as impossible? Okay, let's take that in sections. I think all the while Liverpool and City have these great squads, they can, because that's the beauty of having great squads. When United fell away, the standard of United's player had started to drop. It wasn't the same United squad that had been winning things year in, year out. And I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm a realist. I don't suddenly see a couple of signings and we're going to close 20-point gaps.
When Pep and Klopp go. That's going to be the thing. Will they get anybody in? The person who comes in and replaces them, it's going to be very hard to match what they've done. When Ferguson left Man U, that last season there, he dragged the best out of them, didn't he? Mm-hmm. And the whole thing then has gone pear-shaped since he's gone. And I think he may have to wait for that to happen. When Pep goes from Man City and somebody else comes in, naturally it will drop a little bit. But hopefully the gap will close. But is it too much to expect it just in one season? I'd like to think so. But,
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, listen, let's call it as it is. I would love to sit here and I would love to sit here and say we're going to win the league. I'd love to sit here, Graham. I want to be sitting here next summer going, you know what? You were all right. We won the league. I was wrong. But I just don't see how we suddenly do that in one summer. Yeah. I watched us last season. So many games. Even when we won under Conte, we looked awful. And there was no one on the bench. And
no, the bench is a big problem, I think.
It's, Ellie, thank you very much for the super sticker. You didn't have to do that, but much appreciated.
Can I just say also the 5 subs thing is going to make a big difference as well. Because no wonder they wanted it, Liverpool and Man City. They're bringing on top class players. Now, what will we have on our bench? Can use 5. They're going to be using all 5, aren't they, at times? So that's going to be a big thing as well this year. Absolutely.
And the thing is, too many Spurs fans seems to think that an 11 can carry you through an entire season.
Yeah.
Darryl has said, once I see consistency, then maybe you can dare to dream. This is all I think it is, Darryl. I've seen nothing, even under Conte, I've seen nothing that suggests we're ready to win a title or to close a 20-point gap. I think he got the absolute maximum out of some poor players, yeah, for sure. He's a great coach. Yeah. But we also didn't have Champions League football midweek to worry about. That's going. How's that going to affect us, Graham?
Yeah, it's going to make a lot of difference altogether, yeah. And also with Kane and Son, if one of them was to get injured, We're going to have to. They're going to have to play a lot of games. I know we were saying about rotation, but we need their goals to stay where we are. It's covered up a multitude of sins over the years, isn't it? The amount of goals those two get. We need them to play a lot of football next year. And will they be able to do it? This is the thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, THFC Caveman, again, with some sensible notions here. He said, Liam, trust me, a lot of us agree. People are deluding themselves on hype. It's fine to enjoy and big up the team, but we need to be realistic.
Yeah, let's walk before we run.
Yeah. I mean, the other day, everyone's just telling me, Chelsea, we're much better than them. Liverpool, just because one player has left in Mane, they're going to fall away. I don't understand it. Daryl said we need a cup ASAP. Don't want to pay a manager 15 million, have nothing to show for it. Happy with the top 4 trophy. Agreed. Paul said, I love Spurs to bits, but Liverpool and City are so dominant and ooze class and skill. Yeah. For me, I still think we don't have a midfielder like they've got. If you look at Liverpool with the likes of Thiago Alcantara, Man City with the likes of Rodri, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva and De Bruyne, people that can get their foot on the ball and dictate a game. We've got very different midfielders, which is fine because of the way Conte plays. But in those tough games, in the games where we lost to Southampton and Burnley and we couldn't score goals, you need that bit of craft, that bit of guile for me. And that's still what I think is massively missing from this squad. Yeah. Do you agree?
Well, I do. I mean, I think we need to score more goals around the team as well.
Okay,
we need to score more goals around the team. We're heavily reliant on those two to score them. Whereas Liverpool, I mean, I know Salah and Mane got a lot of goals. The contribution of other people around them was if you're at Southampton and you're 0-0, bring Jota on the sub, he gets the winner. We bring sort of Bergwijn on. I know he did it at Leicester, but it's a big difference, isn't it?
Yeah, Scott, I agree. He said, if you look at the teams, our team is clearly much worse than City or Liverpool. Why do we think we are passing them with a clearly substandard squad? The way I look at it, Scott, is this. At the moment, we are one centre-back injury, i.e. Romero, away from having a very weak back line. We've got a 33-year-old left wing back now in Perisic. If he gets injured, you're then back to Sessegnon. We've still got we've still got Doherty and Emerson Royal as our right wing backs. We've got no creativity in the team. And I still think that we are one Harry Kane injury away from having no one at all that can unlock a defence. If that wins a title, I will be shocked. I'll tell you what. Here's what I'll do. If Spurs win the league title next season, I will give all 163 people in this chat £100. I'm not. Spurs are not winning a league title. There you go. All 163. 100 quid.
9,000 people coming forward on the
163.
Blimey. Does that include me?
Not going to happen. I'm not worried about it. We had the best chance of winning the league that season, but our players were too noisy. I recall some too cocky. Be humble like Liverpool. I agree, but also we didn't win the league that season because, again, we only had 11 players. We had no one to rotate in. And what Klopp and Pep are great at doing is they realise a huge game's coming up. So the week before they can say, right, De Bruyne, Rodri, Diaz, come and sit on the bench today. You guys sit on the bench. We're playing Fulham. We're going to win 5-0 anyway. Yeah. And then next week for the big game against Chelsea, Liverpool, get the big boys back in.
It's a skill from the management to do that as well. You've got to get it right on the bench. As I said before, substitutions are not easy. You've got to make sure you use all the squad, but you've got to make sure you win the game. It's no good putting 2 or 3 players on and then they're not up to the pace of the game and you lose. But they're very clever at doing that. It does help to have 25 to 30 top-class players.
I love this. Paul has said, I'm happy being better than Arsenal in top 4. And then Daryl Denton has responded with, Levy loves you. I think that's the thing. Look, I'm happy with top 4 now. Yeah. I then think we kick on this season, maintain the top 4 and close the gap. And then it's, do we have another good window in January? Do we have another good window next summer? Do we keep getting Deadwood out and bringing in better players? That's the thing for me. Not, we signed Perisic and Basuma now. Okay, but it needs to be every window.
There are gaps to fill, aren't there? There are gaps.
Massive gaps to fill. Massive gaps to fill. So there's loads of comments. We'll try and get through as many as possible. Liam has said, Savva, I can't say Tottenham won't do anything this season, but they need a game changer. Signings like us with Van Dijk. Yeah. I agree. I don't think we've got game changers. Hang on, let me get that right. I think our strikers are class, but I don't think we've got game changers anywhere else on the pitch. I don't think we've got anyone in midfield who can run a game. You know when you watch Modric run a game?
Yeah.
You watch Rodri do it for Man City week in, week out. Thiago and Fabinho do it. For Chelsea, you've seen games where you've got Jorginho and Kante. They just run a game. I don't think we've got that. And I think that's what I consider to be a game changer.
Yeah, definitely.
Purchase said, winning the Champions League would be more likely than the Premier League. We could get lucky in the knockouts, but you need 95 plus points for the Premier League. I agree. I don't think we'll win any of them, but we'll see. Yeah? Savva, you said Poch's 11 should have won the league. Nope.
No, I think you said that.
Nope. Savva said Poch's 11 should have won something. I never said we should have won the league. Poch's 11 should have won an FA Cup, a League Cup.
Yeah.
Minimum. Should that 11 should have won the league? No, because I don't believe an 11 wins the league when you've got Europe as well. I think Leicester City, when they won the league, didn't have any Europe to worry about. Played once a week. Was
Poch banging that table for more players? Or was he quite content to go with a small squad and carry on as he was? See, for Levy, Poch must have been an absolute godsend, mustn't he?
I agree.
I don't suppose he knocked on his door once and we needed strengthening and we didn't. The rot started during the back end of Poch's reign.
Mm-hmm. I think Kuva said Leicester won the league with an inferior squad to others on paper. All we need to do is be in a position to capitalise. I mean, I think the difference is when Leicester won the league, all the other teams were in transition. They weren't up against this Man City and this Liverpool team. They weren't up against Chelsea. At that time, they were all in transition. Plus, Leicester had one game a week. We're talking about going to play Champions League football. Yeah. You can't put out the same 11 week in, week out. Listen, I think it's great. I think everyone who's that optimistic, I've got nothing against it. I just feel that it's this, not that. And if we think about it realistically, if Arsenal had our squad, not one person would be looking at them going, "Oh, they could win the league," would we? No. Not one person. If the roles were reversed. Mustafa has said maybe a League Cup is possible. Just win.
Yeah, see, the thing is now, Chelsea, Liverpool, and Man City dominate it. In the past, I think Arsenal have won quite a few, where other teams have watered their side down. They're not watering them down now. It's hard to get in the semi-final, let alone win it.
Yeah. Scott has said if we were to add Hakimi, Maddison, Milenkovic, Savic, De Vrij, Koulibaly, those types of players, he might start entertaining a title challenge. Even with them, I'm not sure we could do it. So I think I agree. I would entertain it, but also then I still think that Liverpool and Man City have had these squads for years. Yeah. They know each other. They know what's expected. Week in, week out, they know the manager's instructions. They're experienced at getting over the line. Spurs, we could bring in loads of quality players. You've still got to get them all to settle in, right, Graham?
Absolutely, yeah. All they've got to do now is tinker with their team as well, haven't they? You know, they've got their squad there, so one in, one out. There's a lot of rebuilding we need to do in quite a few positions.
Mm-hmm. Dave Clark said, this argument about winning the league is just a pointless discussion. Just enjoy what we have and see what happens. David, you're always in here being really, really miserable. I don't get it, right? Like, we stream 2 or 3 times a week. There's got to be discussions. If every time someone said to me, "Oh, pointless discussion," what on earth would we talk about? Come on, man. It's
editing, we?
Yeah, what would be? I don't understand when people go, "Oh, pointless discussion." It's football. It's debates. It's what we're here to do. KM Honga said Thiago is just an all-in-one player. So much experience. He's different class,
top quality.
And you think Thiago was 30 million? 30 million.
It just shows you, doesn't it? There are players out there you can get.
Even when he joined, the number of fans I saw going, "Oh, he won't hack it in the Premier League."
No, the Premier League.
Oh, God, he runs the show. GK Clark said we play a different style to Man City and Liverpool. Yeah, we do. We do have a different style to Liverpool, but they've got better squads, right? They can mix it up.
Yeah,
they can
go back to that word intensity again. No one's got intensity like they have. It's that intensity that hangs on to Man City shirt tails.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, so Ali has said Liverpool have Van Dijk, Konate, Matip, and Gomez at centre back.
Well, Gomez has just got a new contract.
Yeah,
Hasn't he?
He's a good player.
He was a Charlton player, Gomez, wasn't he? See, they do go out and get bargains, and they're prepared to pay the money for him.
See, Ali A, great point. Liverpool's fourth choice centre back is Gomez. That is the level, right? Who's Spurs' fourth choice centre back? Sanchez, Rodon, Tanganga.
All got mistakes in them, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they're those two on merit are way ahead of the others. Respect. Wish we were like it.
Logic has said, laugh out loud, you'll need like 3-4 more signings for that, but I'm here. I don't, if that's about winning the league. Stuart, where do we send our bank details to? Send them to Daniel Levy. Send them to Daniel Levy. He'll sort you out.
He won't spend it.
Liverpool fans are not humble at all. I'm guessing that was probably a conversation in the chat. Because you said that is going to happen now. I mean, look, if Spurs won the league, I'd be in dreamland. But I just don't know. And skin. I just don't know what's happened to Man City all of a sudden for fans to think we can compete with them.
Take it steady, you know.
Yeah. Ali has said, and Savva, rivals are writing players off like Nunes and Carvalho. Nunes in that Liverpool system will score goals, and Carvalho was Championship Young Player of the Season. He's going to be a star. I agree. The thing we do is we belittle every player another club signs, don't we? It's like Calvin Phillips signed for City. Oh, he's not good enough.
They'll be belittling ours as well.
Yeah, but can you imagine if we had signed Calvin Phillips? People who saying, "Oh, well, if Conte wants him, he'll do a great job."
It's like a defence mechanism.
Yeah, and I've seen people belittling Erling Haaland. I mean, it's ridiculous. Savva, that is the most sensible thing I've heard a Spurs fan say. Which one was that, Darren? I'm always saying sensible things.
Can't be you, surely said that, was it?
24 said, I actually think Basuma can. I think you're talking about what I said in terms of controlling a game. I don't think that's Basuma's game. When I'm talking about Rodri and Thiago Alcantara, they literally sit in a 20-yard space, don't they, in a patch of grass, and they dominate from there. All different short passing, long passing, turning on a sixpence. Basuma's quality, but I don't think he's that player.
I'm really looking forward to watching him play for Spurs. I think that was a very good signing.
When he said Basuma did it against Man City, I don't think people understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying about Basuma's quality, but I'm just talking about in terms of controlling the game.
Yeah.
Brighton didn't ever, when I've seen, control a game against Man City, Liverpool, or Chelsea. They may have been in it, but they wouldn't have controlled it. Arsenal fans are more deluded. They think Jesus is world class. Look, I think all fans of most clubs are biased. He
may not be world class, but I think we've got to say it's a good sign.
It's a very good signing for them. Yeah, THFC 14 has said, I'm sure you'll all join me in wishing Jack Wilshere a happy retirement. Brilliant.
Got a lot to say for himself, hasn't he?
Yeah. Warren has said, as it stands today, we are 5 non-English born players over the top of the Champions League quotas. Have to purchase some home-born players. Right. Well, yeah, this has not really been thought about. Graham looks like Cyril Knowles, the Spurs and Darlington legend. Do you?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I remember Cyril. Very nice one, Cyril. Yeah. Well, he was a good-looking guy, wasn't he? Hey, that guy, like Cyril Knowles, what a good-looking guy he was.
Yeah. Liam Ara said, we finished on 69 points, but look at the amount of injuries we had. No Gomez, Van Dijk, Matip, Fabinho, Henderson, Thiago, Alisson. We had over 25 centre-back combinations that season. Mate, I agree. I agree. It's the equivalent of Spurs losing Son, Kane, Romero, Lloris for 6-7 months. We would finish halfway. We finished bottom half of the table. So I think, people don't seem to want to use the C word. Context. Context is a big thing. When Conte came in, we were saying it's going to take 3 or 4 windows before we could compete to be champions. Yep, I still agree with that. Even 3 or 4 might not be enough, because what we never take into account, I feel, as fans, is it's not just us that needs to strengthen. City and Liverpool will keep strengthening. Chelsea are going to strengthen over the next few windows. Man United are going to strengthen and back Ten Hag. It's not just us. It's not just us. So we seem to assume that everyone else is going to stay there and we're just going to keep going like this. Yeah. Doesn't.
It's hard to catch up.
Liverpool have just lost Mane. Just see how that affects them. If we bought their centre forward, you would say he's had one good season.
He didn't score that many goals last year, Mane, did he?
Mane didn't score that many goals.
I mean, Salah's the one, I think, really, and he's a guarantee, isn't he?
The thing is, as well, they bought Diaz in anticipation for Mane leaving, and Nunes. The thing is, Nunes doesn't even need to come in and get 20, 25 goals. They'll have goals from Diaz, Jota, Mane, Carvalho, and Salah. Nunes.
Yeah, Jota was a fantastic signing for them.
Yeah, brilliant play.
Absolutely fantastic signing.
Liam, this is the thing. Unfortunately, when I get people like you, you're quite childish. When you're saying my negative because I don't think Spurs are going to win a league title. I've been told for the last 22 years under Levy and Enoch that I'm negative, and I'm never wrong with where we're going to be. I'm never wrong when I say we're not winning anything this year because we don't have the squad, or we're not going to win a league title. So when you're saying it's negative, tell me one thing I've said that's negative versus realistic. I'll sit here and wait for you. Liam, what did I say that was negative? People like that do my head in. Just so you know. And how the hell is it miserable to say just enjoy what we have and see what happens? Mate, listen, when we're having discussions, you come on every time and go, oh, it's a pointless discussion. It's just like, just joining the conversation. It's like, we're here to talk football. I saw someone do this to Henry the other day. They were like, oh, Henry, this conversation's pointless. And it was like, well, what do we do then? Do we just not do podcasts? Liam has said we play a different way to sit in Liverpool. Your company, 2 completely different systems. I mean, that doesn't make sense. Comparing. Look, yeah, of course we play different to Liverpool and City. I don't believe I said any other thing. Did I say that we play?
No, I mean,
I don't know.
Bottom line is they're more consistent than us and win more games than us. I mean, it's...
Absolutely. That's the bottom line.
That's the realism of it, isn't it? I mean, we're not...
Absolutely. Jason Margerson said Arsenal are after Milenkovic, Savic and Tielemans. Why are we not showing this ambition? I'll be honest. If Arsenal get a midfield of Tielemans, Milenkovic, Savic, and then with Jesus, Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard,
decent.
It's decent. Yeah. It is decent. Kane Legg, thank you very much for the super chat. You've got Savva Graham, sensible Spurs fans that talk sense. Unfortunately, Kane Legg, if you try and talk sense, it gets called negative. Look, I'm sure there are fans of 5 or 6 other clubs having podcasts all across the country talking about how they're going to win the league. And it's great. I think it's wonderful that fans want to think we're going to win the league. But no one can give a particular reason why. No one can say, well, we're going to win the league because Man City have just lost Rodri, Diaz, Kyle Walker and Bernardo Silva all in one season. Liverpool have lost Van Dijk. Everyone's strengthening. Everyone. Luana said, we know how and what made Savva start to support Spurs, but I have to ask this, Graham, how or why? What made you support Spurs?
Strangely enough, my father was an Arsenal supporter and he took me to Highbury when I was very young, but I never, ever got interested in it. Strange, isn't it? Because normally you follow the team your dad did, and he was a great Arsenal fan, so was his brothers. But they're quite boring. I always found them a very boring side, whereas Spurs, with the players they had in those early days, had more, entertaining players, better footballers, I thought. And, I've always been a Spurs fan. I follow all sorts of teams as well. I'm one of these weird people. No, not in the same division, but I've got about 4 or 5 sides that I actually follow at different levels. But
Dartford.
I love my Dartford, yeah.
Lincoln?
Dartford, Lincoln City. Yeah.
Sheffield Wednesday?
I did, yeah, I did at one point, but I wouldn't support anybody in the Premiership against Spurs. But it came from there. Really, it was strange, just enjoyed. But perhaps that's because my dad followed Arsenal. Perhaps that's what made me follow up Spurs. I don't know.
Rebelling.
But I just didn't get into that.
Tell you what, if you had chosen Arsenal, you would have seen some titles down the years, wouldn't you?
Yeah. No, I remember going when Billy Wright was manager. I'm going back some years now. And there was a big demonstration after the game. Perhaps that's what put me off. And we had to walk between all these angry fans demonstrating outside the ground. Probably put me off for life. Moved me across North London.
Scott Emma said, laugh out loud, negativity for being realistic about our chances of winning the league. Yep. Mr. said, I just think Conte loves mentality monsters, and I don't think this squad has the winning mentality except some players. I agree. Listen, there's nothing wrong with pushing and having that desire to. But at the same time, I think there's an element in anything in life that we have to be realistic and honest. You know, as I've always said, would I like to go on a date with Cameron Diaz? Yes. Is it going to happen? No. That's life, right? Don't tell Charlotte I said that.
No, I've been on a date with her actually, but I didn't want to tell you.
Yeah, I know you have. Phil President said, you're negative, Savva, because you're not a sheep and you tell the truth. Liam R has said, Savva, you're being real with it. You're not going over the top and saying how it is. Again, Liam, what I'm not doing is I'm not sitting here going, Spurs are crap. Spurs won't get top 4. We're awful. All I'm saying is baby steps, right? You don't go from being 20 points off the top with 2 very, very good squads like Liverpool and City, and then in one window we're catching them.
Patience.
Luan has said brutal honesty is negativity in today's world. Yeah, unfortunately, everyone's taught that everything's rosy and great and anyone can achieve anything. And that's great, but it's not true.
Yeah. When you speak your mind, you're always going to get criticism, aren't you?
Yeah. GK Clarkey has said, we will only know if it's been a good window once we see if they perform or not. Yeah. And Ndombele has proved it doesn't matter if you're a big name and cost a fortune, you can still flop. Yeah, of course. We'll know when we start next year. And we'll know about our consistency very early on in the season. What we do know is clubs like Man City and Liverpool set the pace very early. So City normally come out the blocks for the first 2 games slow. And every season I hear, this is the year Man City are going to flop. And then what do, Graham? Flick a switch. 20-game run.
They'll win, 15, 20 games on the spin. You see, that's what we've got to do. It's not easy to do that. Not easy to do. Is it because there were so many teams that are not very good last year in the Premiership? I don't know. That made it so easy for them, but they were putting everybody away, weren't they?
Liam said everyone knows how Conte plays. Yeah, they do. Conte would much rather go with a functional defensive midfielder. If you offered him Thiago or Maddison, he picks Matic. If you offered Antonio Conte Thiago Alcantara, you're telling me he wouldn't play him? Really? I'm not buying that. Savva, since the EPL has 5 subs next season, that's why we see we buy before we sell, just in case we don't land our targets? Possibly, but we shouldn't. We shouldn't be doing that. Surely you get the players in you need, right, and then you just sell the others at a low price. Where are we? Liam Osborne again has said Pep and Guardiola let their players free. Conte is about automatisms. You're comparing night and day. Liam, again, I'm not comparing the formations. I've not once compared the formations. I've not compared their tactics. I'm comparing consistency and better squads. Yeah? Better squads win titles. It's just a fact. You need lots of top players. You can't say, Romero's class, but then Romero gets a 6-month injury and Sanchez plays for 6 months. You can't do it. You've got to have players.
The next one.
Luana said, you must have had really fun conversations with your dad, Graham.
Strangely not. No, not really. He knew I didn't like Arsenal, but every time the family came round, they were all talking about Arsenal all the time. But in the days of Peter Simpson, Peter Storey, and destroyers, But no, not really. He was a very quiet man, and didn't really. You're not an argumentative type person.
164 Spurs says, Sav, you sound like an Arsenal fan. I don't know what that means. Why do I sound like an Arsenal fan? For what reason? What? Because I don't think we're going to win a league title. Wow, the world's gone mad. Let's have a look. Scott has said Pirlo, Brozovic, Fabregas, three key players for Conte. The myth he doesn't want creativity in his midfield needs to end. I can't agree with you more, Scott. This myth that he never likes players that can control a game and that have skill is ridiculous. Yes, he likes hard-working players, but I mean, yeah, just look at those players you mentioned there.
You've got to have a good balance between attack and defence.
Of course you have.
You've got to be able to defend well and attack well. Marrying those two things together is the key.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone who hasn't liked, please, can you go and smash that like button? And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It does help. Perchy, thank you very much for the donation. He said, being realistic is negative now. Oh, my days. Laugh out loud. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the truth. Otherwise, everyone's going to win the league, aren't they? Elliot said, "I'd like to be Cameron Diaz, better than dating her." But Ellie, you be you, love.
You're as good, if not better.
Yeah, there you go. Liam said, "Savva, I'm still not happy with the window with us yet because we've not signed a midfielder, and that's a missing piece of the puzzle." Are you talking Liverpool? I'm sure you will. I mean, at the end of the day, you've still got Keita, Fabinho, Alcantara, Henderson, Milner. The Ox is still there, I believe. You've brought in Fabio Carvalho. You've got Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott. Yeah. You've still got some options, my friend.
And Jurgen
Klopp. Warren has said, do we know how large the squad is for South Korea? And Ndombele to stay at home. By the way, guys, we're going to go for another 8 minutes. So if you've got any questions, get them in.
They leave tomorrow, I think, for Korea, don't they? Is it tomorrow they leave for Korea?
I believe so, the 9th, yeah? I believe so.
20 players? 22 players, they'll take?
I
don't know how many games they're playing. How many games are they playing?
God, I don't know. They just play loads, don't they?
A few. Yeah. PR
Mr. has said Conte at Juve had Pirlo, Marchisio, not very defensive players, and Vidal was not that defensive. He likes good midfielders. I think Mr. That's it. Managers like top players. Can you imagine if Spurs turn around now and went and bought Thiago Alcantara? Are you telling me Thiago Alcantara doesn't start alongside Basuma over Bentancur? Would he, Graham?
Well, he wouldn't win things if he didn't like attacking players, would he? I mean, you've got to get the defence right. The defence has got to be solid. This is the thing.
Yep. Barella wasn't a defensive automatron. Yep.
It's no good going gung-ho and throwing everybody forward, is it? You've got to be strong at the back. You build from there.
Pep requires technically gifted players for his system. Conte chooses more physical and functional players. The players we are bringing in are Conte style of players.
See, Pep gets the balance between working hard and skill.
He does.
Winning it and getting it back. He got it right at Barcelona. Every time they lost the ball, they won it back in no time. And that's his game. But what I like about it, it's good football to watch, isn't it? It's really good football to watch, Man City. A lot of friends of mine who are Charlton supporters and whatever, they all like Man City.
Yeah.
Everybody likes that. It's a place it's good football.
I think the thing is as well, again, it's like Liam said here, that's why we only have defensive midfielders and choose not to pursue Eriksen. I mean, we don't know why we didn't pursue Eriksen. Yeah, I'm sorry. Conte's had some wonderful attacking midfielders over the years. It's the same as when I hear that Jose plays boring football, but loads of his team score over 100 goals a season. It's just weird. Just really weird. Phil President said, you're an Arsenal fan because your head is firmly not in Levy's backside. Right, exactly, Phil. Yeah. Exactly, because I'm not, we're winning everything. Luan has said, yes, Savva, you're an Arsenal fan. You are very negative, etc., for thinking and saying that Spurs is not going to win the title next season. Jesus Christ, where has this world come to? Luan, I agree. It's silly.
Not allowed to be critical.
Liam Oswald said, you just listed a lot of mid. I don't know what that means. Darren, Savva, you're being negative because you said you can't date Cameron Diaz. Yeah. Listen, if she knocks on the door.
Well, she barged past you to me.
Yeah.
I mean, there'd be no mucking about.
If she knocks on my door, she'd say, is Graham there, please? I've come to see Graham.
Actually earlier before you came.
Yeah, I'm sure. Here we go. This guy is absolutely deluded. I like you, Liam. You're funny. No way Thiago would get cooked in a double pivot. Go away. Thiago is a world-class central midfielder. This whole double pivot nonsense.
Ooh, I like a double pivot.
Oh my, yes, Bentancur's better than Thiago. Is that what you're saying?
No,
Jesus
he's not,
Christ.
Thiago's a fantastic player.
Mate, Luan, I know who's being sarcastic and who's not, don't worry. Conte also had Pogba at Juventus. Yeah, he did. Again, another non-defensive midfielder. He said, but in defence, he had Chiellini, Bonucci, Barzagli, Lichtsteiner, Atinta, Bastoni, Skriniar, De Vries. These defenders allow creative players to be creative. Of course they do, but that doesn't mean he doesn't like those players. That's the thing, right? This myth that he doesn't like creative midfielders is weird. Let's have a Savva mass Spurs shirt giveaway if Spurs break into the top two. Spurs, I'm not saying we can't get to top two, but a lot needs to happen. One of those top teams has to fall from grace.
One of them's got to come backwards.
And it means Spurs have to absolutely excel. And then you've got to throw in the World Cup, 5 subs, squads, Champions League games. It's a lot to ask.
We would love it to happen. We would love it to happen. Maybe the year, but Rome wasn't built in a day.
Scott M, he's put, laugh out loud, Thiago would get cooked in a double pivot. He's put, is this guy for real? Yeah, Scott, Scott, sorry, yeah. I don't get it.
It's going back to terminology again, isn't it? All this terminology.
Oh, all this
if you
double
went
pivot.
In a changing room with a load of youngsters and said about double pivots and everything like that, they wouldn't have a clue what you were talking about.
Score predictions for the first game against Southampton at home. I mean, it's tough without knowing who we're going to buy,
they're one
but
of the weaker sides, aren't they? I can't see them improving.
I think that'll be a 3-0.
That's Pep Poch's next job, isn't it? Do you not think going back to Southampton?
Poch, possibly.
Easily, I think.
Yeah, I think we'll come out the blocks flying. I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
For me, where we'll see how good we are is when we start playing Champions League midweek and then the league and with the small squad. Scott has said let me get my teeth back in. People perpetuate this myth. Great word. So that when we fail to address the need, they can still rate the window 10 out of 10 and claim that we didn't bring in quality because Conte didn't want them. Agreed, Scott. What will happen? Absolutely. Is they'll go, oh, well, Conte didn't want Eriksen.
I think when you rate a window, you've got to look at what goes out as well.
Oh, for sure.
As well as what's coming in. We're looking at totally from what's coming in. But I think we need to lose a few. You're not going to lose 8. I mean, there's 8 or 9 there you can get rid of tomorrow. Yeah. But you're not going to get rid of all of them because obviously you're going to have to buy a lot to bring it in and make the squad up to the standards you want.
Liam, I think you're overthinking this, my friend. You're saying, you're listing his Italian teams and they all played 3-5-2 in the Premier League. He goes with 3-4-3. The only way he plays a creative midfielder is if he plays a 3-5-2. There's nothing stopping Conte putting 2 up top and having a bloke in behind the front 2 if we buy a creative midfielder. Are you telling me? I just can't.
Basuma's going to play. Obviously, Bentancur and Højbjerg will play as well as Basuma. You've got your 3 in midfield straight away, haven't you?
If he does that.
He plays that way.
Yeah.
I just can't understand the wing backs is such an important part of his system. Not to get that right is criminal, really, isn't it? You got Royal there. I don't know. Surely nobody at that club thinks Royal's good enough to be a wing back in a successful side.
It does make me laugh.
You only need one chink as well. If we're weak on that right side, that one chink could cost us.
The thing is, I can always tell a certain type of fan because they all have the same thing, right? So this Liam guy who's just clearly demonstrating he doesn't really understand a lot of things is now saying, no, we need Poch to replace Conte.
Why?
Why? Why? Why do we need Poch to replace Conte?
No.
I do not want to go back to that guy.
Look, the rot started when he was manager.
I agree. It did. It started under him.
I don't know.
It started under him, and then Jose took all the blame.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It didn't start when Jose came in.
No, it started well before that.
It didn't finish 14th for nothing, did we?
Guys, I'm going to go for 5 more minutes. Get your questions in. Get any last points you want to make. Graham and I will be ending very, very soon. Yeah. The hottest Spurs said, I'm going for 5-0 against Southampton. I think...
Could be. But great, are they?
I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Southampton, bless them, they survive. Can they really attract top players? It's tough. I think they'll probably be exactly the same next season. They have spells where they go 7 or 8 games without losing. Then they have spells when they go 10 games without winning.
He will be the first manager sacked, won't he?
Do you think?
Well, I mean, the 3 who come up will get a little bit of time, won't they? But I just feel he's the one. I mean, the betting the other day, I think, had the bottom 3, and they were the 4th team, Southampton. So,
Liam said Poch didn't get to finish what he built. He was wrongfully sacked. He was wrongfully sacked for not winning a game away for 10 months, for taking 26 points from his last 25 games, which is worse than Christian Gross's last 25 games as manager. Sorry, what?
I think he was good for Levy, because I think he did. I don't think he knocked on the door. I'd be surprised if he actually pushed for more players. When we lost the Champions League final, investment should have been made, and it wasn't. Now, it may not just have been Levy. If you spoke to Levy, you might have said, well, the manager was quite happy with what he had. You've got to look at it. Levy's looking at it from a business point of view of the football club, 14th in the league. It was dreadful, wasn't it? It was all slow passing across the back and all this sort of thing. And the away form, would you say it was 1 win or something?
No wins in 10 months.
No wins in 10 months.
Shocking.
I mean, you can't blame everybody else but him. He's got to take some.
Yeah.
The fact that Paris soon have got rid of him now as well. I mean, yeah, he did well for those three or four seasons where he had a very good 11. He did really, really well. I just think, has he got a plan B as a manager?
I don't think so.
I just think he's a plan A man. Substitutes were sometimes really poor.
Marlon from A View from the South Stand has said, do you think Spurs, and go over and subscribe to Marlon, one of the Spurs good guys. Always enjoy having Marlon on the stream. He said, do you think Spurs will make a Champions League type signing this window? No.
We'd like to think so.
I don't. As I said earlier, Marlon, I think all the signings we've made are signings we could make any year if we were in the Europa League or the Conference League. I've not seen one signing like a Milenkovic-Savic, like a James Maddison, where you go, wow. That's just me. That's only me. Gav North, hello, Gav. How are you, sir? He has said, we have to assume that due diligence has been done on our incoming purchases and they're suitable for the positions they're bought for. For sure.
Very well put.
For sure. That's what the hope is. Luana said, didn't get to finish what he had built, but he had 5 years. He actually had 6. But yes, Luan, you're right. Yeah. Darryl said, Liam, is football a results game? If so, Poch was rightly sacked, no? And then Liam has come, I love these chats. Liam has come out and said he got us to a Champions League final. This whole Champions League final kills me. Like, it was a good cup run. But whilst he was getting a cup run to the Champions League final, we were taking 26 points from 25 games. That's relegation form.
He left the bloke out who got a hat-trick in the semi-final.
He got us, I mean, look, he did get us to a Champions League final. But even then, when you look at that Champions League run, it was a lot of really bad performances and luck. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. You need luck, right? But when you said he didn't back him afterwards, the window after we made Champions League final, he spent 160 million on Sessegnon, Clark, Ndombele and Lo Celso.
He spent a lot of money while he was there. And
at that time, everyone was saying, Graham, remember, was saying, these are Poch's choices.
He can't palm the blame off on everybody else all the time.
No, not all the time.
He's got to stand up and say, look, a lot of it was my fault. Anyway, he's gone.
Gav said, can we please give this Poch narrative a rest? It's really boring. Look, the thing for me, Gav, is Poch left so long ago, right? And our fans, like Liam, are still, let's get Poch back. Let's get Poch back. If you have 6 years at a club and don't win anything, it's fair to say you had a good crack at it, right? What we can do, bring him in. He has 4 years, doesn't win anything again. And he's had 10 years of not winning anything. He did terribly with PSG. The PSG fans hate him. The football he plays with, they hate him.
Out of his depth there, I think.
He won away in Ajax in the semi-final. Okay, we're talking about the league, right? We're talking about the league. Even then, that Ajax great win was nothing to do with him. It was a moment of magic from Mora, who then Poch dropped in the final. One of the worst management decisions, Graham, I've ever seen in supporting football.
I mean, that was a very good 11, with people. I mean, Kane up front scoring buckets of goals. I personally think it made him look a better manager than he was.
Liam, as well, I'd say Liam's the guy in this stream. He's the one saying really silly things. I keep reading this, Graham, that, well, if Sissoko hadn't have handballed and they hadn't had that penalty in the first minute, he handballed in the first minute. That leaves you 90 more minutes to go, plus injury time, and Spurs did nothing. Poch did nothing to change it up.
Couldn't change it.
Surely, right? If you're Lucas Moura, Graham, as a footballer, you've scored a hat-trick in the semi-final. How pumped would he have been to play in that final?
Did you not say he spent 380 million while he was manager?
Yeah, he spent loads of money.
380 million.
He spent a lot of money.
The chairman's got to look at it. 14th in the league. Whose fault's that?
Darren has said, we will never know what could happen if Poch got his rebuild. His team just ran out of steam. Yeah. Been there too long. Yeah, the thing is, when we talk about a rebuild, again, the reason I don't like that word, Darren, is because you can't rebuild from something that was never successful. Do you know what I mean? When we're talking about he needed a rebuild, 7 of that famous 11 under Pochettino were there when he joined. He didn't build that team.
I've said this before. Somebody at Southampton told me that when he was at Southampton, he liked a very small group. He didn't want lots and lots of players. He liked a small group. He told me that before he went to Spurs. And it proved it, didn't it? He was quite happy having a very small squad, but he come unstuck with it.
I think
he's gone there.
Yeah, he has. I think the key thing for me as well is you can't always blame everyone else. You can't. So yes, everyone knows I hate leaving. He doesn't back managers properly. But some of his decisions in big games and semis and finals was dreadful as to why Spurs didn't win anything. Yeah, that's where I do give Levy a bit of slack, that we should have won some things, but Poch messed up. Here you go. Playing Son at left wing back in a final, in the semi-final of the FA Cup. In the FA Cup semi-final, either the year before or the year after, he dropped Lloris and Walker. Not playing Lucas Moura in a Champions League final after the guy single-handedly got us there.
And Kane not 100% fit.
Kane not 100% fit. The North London derby, where he decided to put Toby Alderweireld on the bench and play 1/5 at centre-half, and Arsenal scored 4 past us. Big games, bad management.
I think the players we brought in during his time, and it must have been him, mustn't it? It must have been down to him.
Gavin Orver said, yeah, Malmo got to a Champions League final. Porto got to... Some clubs get to finals, right? Top managers win them. Everyone belittled Jose. Look what Jose's just gone and done at Roma. 1 year, their first... Am I right in saying their first European trophy?
That Poch is a better manager than Jose.
Oh, God. Nowhere near. It's like men v boys. Jeff has got a different question. Hello, Jeff. He has said, Savva, what would you say if Conte played Son from the left, Richarlison through the centre, Kulu from the right, and Harry in the number 10 with Basuma and Benny in the midfield and the back 4? I like that. That could be an option, right? It's very attacking. You got 2 holding midfielders there. Why not?
Yeah, it could do, yeah.
Why not?
Or like you said, we'll see that. He's got a lot of options what he can do.
Yeah, Liam, I think this is the big thing. When people got to the Champions League final line, what makes me laugh is I've got Liverpool mates, Chelsea mates, Man United mates. When they lose finals, they don't want to ever talk about it, right? When they lose finals, they are like, can't wait to get to the next one and rectify it and win. Yeah. Spurs fans wear that with a pride. Got to a final, right? What happened? We didn't turn up. We lost. We were awful over 2 legs against Ajax. Yeah. We had a good game against Man City in the semi, in the quarters. We barely got out of the group, only because, was it Barcelona put out a weakened team because they'd already qualified, and Inter Milan got the point they needed, something like that.
I think he kept with that 11, then just ran out of steam.
Yeah, I agree.
And then he looks at, I say, I don't think he's got a plan B. I don't think he's got an alternative. Then suddenly players, Walker went, Dembele went. You've got to bring players in.
Yeah.
He may not have wanted to do that.
Again, look, I'll always say this about Poch. I'll caveat it. Poch did really great for a period of time.
Yeah, tremendous.
Right? But there was a period of time where he didn't do great. And unfortunately, managers get sacked if you have a year like Poch had. Yeah? Let me ask you this. 26 points from 25 games, Graham, is relegation form, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're looking at a 38, 40-point season. If Arteta was doing that at Arsenal, if Tuchel was doing that at Chelsea, how much would we be laughing at them?
They'd be sacked.
And they'd be sacked. Spurs fans, no, give this guy more money, more money. Poch left us 14th. He bought Ndombele and Lo Celso, 2 players we can't get rid of.
Yeah. A lot of rubbish.
Right, it's madness. Look at where Poch took us from. He joined when we were 5th. This is another narrative,
When
Graham.
you look at Harry, did the best. Harry with what was we bottom of the league when he came in,
and 4th in 18 months.
I mean, that was far to me.
I agree.
That was the best managerial performance of anybody, I think, to do that.
Dropping more in the final was 100% the right thing to do. In what world, Scott?
Clearly wasn't, was it?
In what world do you drop a player whose levels of confidence must have been... listen, and I don't even rate Lucas Moura.
Never been the same since, really, is he, to be honest?
He was on cloud 9, and then you drop him. Now, the argument is always, yeah, but Kane was fit. Play both. Why did it have to be either or? I'll never get that decision.
No.
One of the worst decisions ever. Let's have a look. We're going to finish very, very soon. I left service in a restaurant. I was working to watch that final. Philip Bidwell is a Liverpool fan. He said, with signings so far, I can see you getting close to Man City and my team Liverpool, but you'll be 10 points behind. That would be great. That, for me, is a successful season. That completely takes out of you, Savva. Major adrenaline dump after that.
Well, it must have been.
Well, yeah, because it was an awful decision from a manager that isn't a winner.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Pochettino is not a winner.
He kept playing 4th, didn't he?
Weird.
What he saw in him, I don't know.
Yeah. But, Scott, then you've got to understand the psyche of a footballer. You've got to understand what confidence does. Who cares how pumped he would be? He's a terrible footballer. He would have done nothing.
You can't say he's a terrible footballer.
But hang on, forget that bit.
Yeah, I take exception.
The bit of he would have done nothing. He got the hat-trick that got us there. He got a hat-trick to get us to a final.
A hat-trick in a semi-final would be a terrible player. He's not terrible.
I don't think he's terrible.
No.
I don't think he's terrible. He's not for me anymore. We can do better. But
Yeah.
Gav North said Poch refused to add to his squad. Too loyal to his favourite 11.
Correct.
Like what Graham said.
Correct.
Ellie has come and said Poch did some good and some bad.
Yeah.
Yep. I'd say the majority of fans loved him, not because of reaching the final. I believe just hearing fans talk, they loved that he loved our club with a passion. That's great. And he did great. But it's sentiment. This is the problem. It's sentiment.
Good guy.
No,
nice fella.
no manager. You know what? If Jose Mourinho in his time at Spurs had taken 26 points from 25 games, people would have lost their mind. Get him out, sack him. He never did anything like that.
No.
But when Poch does it, it's okay, it's Poch.
Yeah, he did really well. Bought some very average players, and then it came to an end. That's it. Close the book. Close the book. Don't want him back.
Luana said, Mourinho, 5 European finals, 5 wins.
Yeah, well, there's a difference in it. I mean, if anybody says that Poch was a better manager, I just, at what? At what?
Oh, there's no...
The facts, again, the facts are there, aren't they? You don't need to look any further than the facts.
Liam said, yeah, it's because we've never seen heights like that before. Right, but it was a good achievement. We got to a final. No one's knocking that, Liam, but I'm not one of those fans where people go, oh, well, we made a Champions League final 4 years ago. Right?
Yes.
So?
See, players started leaving. I think, obviously, they could see no investment was coming in. And, well...
Scott said, can't argue with that, what Jose did in the past, but currently, and especially for us, he has got awful. Right, again, here's where facts are going to prove people. Again, it's that over that. Jose Mourinho came in, and in the 18 months that he managed Tottenham, I don't know if you know this, Graham, in the 18 months, how many managers got more points in the 18 months he was manager?
Probably nobody.
Three,
yeah.
Over his 18 months, from where he picks up left us, only Klopp, Pep, and Manchester United.
Over 100 goals that season.
Over 100 goals that season.
Was boring. And Kane particularly liked him a lot.
And then for someone who's god awful, he's just won another European trophy. Another European trophy.
Yeah.
The Poch hate from some fans is puzzling. This is the thing. If you don't worship the ground someone walks on, it's called hate. I don't hate Poch. I just don't praise him to the levels that other people do. He had a very good team and should have at least won a League Cup. At least a League Cup. How can you say it's a bad year getting to top four in the Champions League final after a summer window without any money spent? Right, again, Liam, facts are not your friend. Facts are not your friend, are they? They're my friend because I know my facts. If you take the year, right, the final year of his Spurs time, okay, in that year he won no away games in 10 months. Yeah, no away game in 10 months with Lloris, Rose, Alderweireld, Vertonghen, Eriksson, Moussa Dembele, Son, Kane, Ali, and he couldn't win an away game for 10 months. 26 points from 25 games, my friend. That's relegation form. There's only... You can't... Again, our standards are down here. Any other club, he would have been sacked long before that. Especially when they big up a post like Jose. No, right, let's call it as it is. Jose Mourinho is one of the greatest managers the world has ever seen. Like him, love him, loathe him, despise his style, love his style, hate his antics, love his antics. Facts. He's one of the greatest managers the world has ever seen.
What's he said? Big up or what?
Especially when they big up a posse. I think that means piece of shit like Jose. It's just a Scott, grow up, mate. Sorry, it's ridiculous.
It's a Chelsea thing, isn't it? Oh, he was a manager at Chelsea. We don't like him. How many trophies he won? 27, did you say?
I think he's on 27, 28 trophies as a manager. But Poch,
sweet FA, and he's brilliant.
And did you see? Poch last year at PSG, I saw a stat. He didn't win an away game against any of the top 8 in the French league, something like that. It's madness. He made PSG look awful, and he had some of the best players in the world. I'm not saying they should have won the Champions League, but come on.
Any other subjects?
A view from the South said, I like Harry, but he did take over a cup final team. Keane and Berbatov are the 2 players that need to be replaced. But Marlon, again, facts are all there for everyone to see on the internet. After we won the League Cup, Ramos lost 4 or 5 of that squad that were integral to Tottenham, i.e., like you've said, Keane and Berbatov. And we didn't really replace them with anyone. When Harry joined, we were 8th, and we were we were bottom. After 8 games, we had 2 points, and we were a shambles. He took us in that first year to finish 8th from bottom, and then the next year got us top 4. And the difference is when we played in the Champions League under Harry, some of the football was phenomenal. Like,
good to watch, wasn't it? Good to watch.
Like when we battered Inter Milan at White Hart Lane. It was just sensational to watch. I think Redknapp doesn't get enough credit for what he did at Tottenham. Gav North said, I need a drink. I'm finding myself in agreement with Savva on too many points. Gav, I'm going to WhatsApp you some abuse later just so we get things back on tact. No, I love Gav.
It's opinions, isn't it?
It is.
We can sit here till midnight tomorrow still talking about which ones...
The thing is, it is opinions, but sometimes there's facts behind it.
No one can say that Poch is a better manager than Jose. The facts don't back it up, do they?
No, of course they don't. Again, as we said, when Jose took over Spurs, this is what makes me laugh, right? The Poch fan club will tell you, oh, Poch wasn't backed. The squad he was left with, it wasn't backed. But Mourinho took over that squad, and then people are going, oh, well, we've not done really, really well. Well, hang on. He had the same squad.
He wouldn't have been 14th in the league.
No.
But everybody's got their
they have,
likes
but
and dislikes.
Look, one of them's a serial winner, and one of them has just been.
No comparison.
No, there isn't at all.
There
there isn't. And again, as you said, I'm not the Jose fan club, but credit where it's due.
It's because it's been at Chelsea, isn't it?
Look,
still
Jose,
rankers.
Ancelotti, Pep, Klopp. Yeah, these managers are serial winners. Serial winners. Even when you look at Conte's never done anything in Europe, has he?
No.
These managers win year in, year out, European trophies, leagues. There are levels to this game. There are levels. Yeah. Right, we've got 2 minutes, then we are gonna go. So Darren said, I don't know why he's shouting at me. So Savva, you're going to judge Poch's 5 years on one bad season. Again, 2 of these, one of these. Listen to what I said. Poch had some great times. I'm sure I've said this a million times, Graham, haven't I?
Yeah, and it came to an end.
Poch had some great times. His first year was iffy. His last year was terrible. All in all, he had to go, right? He had to go. Yeah. But no one said he didn't do some really good things. But this whole bring him back, Poch is brilliant. He's got unfinished business. He had 6 years. He had more than any other manager, I reckon. Oh, it's ridiculous. Kane Legg, some of these fans are still nostalgic to Poch. It's embarrassing. It's a loser mentality. Agreed. Here's the excuse. Poch was focused on the Champions League. That's why our league form went badly. Oh, yeah. That's not an excuse. No other club does that.
It was boring football as well.
God, it got really turgid at the end.
Across the backwards and forwards. It was slow.
Jeff, there's no point getting to a final if you don't win it. Scott, Jose was an embarrassment for us, but keep up with the excuses.
How was he embarrassment?
The 4th most points of any manager in his 18 months. How is that an embarrassment? I don't get it. What was embarrassing about it? That's all I'm saying is take away your hate for the man. The 4th most points of any manager. I don't understand it.
Scored a lot of goals as well.
I don't get it.
What's all this bad, terrible football coming? Scored loads.
So we finished out of the top 6 once in 13 years, and guess who was managing the club when we fell out of it? Jose. Yes, because he took over from Poch, who left us in 14th, you donut. He took over from Poch's terrible time. Wow. Again, sorry, there's a lot of children in the chat. Yeah. Listen, it doesn't matter who you beat. If you beat teams and win a European trophy, that's good. But again, look, I would rather listen to the radio than watch a Jose team. Again, that's your mentality, and this is Spurs fans all over. Yeah. We want really pretty football. I want win.
Look, when you've got Kane and Son in the side, you don't want to mess about fiddling around with it in midfield, do you? You get the ball forward. That's what he played to our strengths. Over 100 goals.
THFC Caveman, spot on. So people who loved Poch and hated Mourinho sucked off Delhi for the last few years. Listen, people can't let go of things. Caveman, can they? They can't. I can't believe Poch is still a thing 3.5 years later.
I wish you get another job and we can forget all about it now.
Again, Gav, Poch. There's a difference between realism and hate. Darren Ferrin, you're not going to be consistent with just an 11. Consistent what? I don't know what that...
I don't think he wanted anybody. He was happy with what he had.
Poch also built that stadium for us because without his consistent top 4 finishes on a shoestring budget, we wouldn't have been able to afford it. Oh, Liam. How do you think... Gav, I need your help here. You're a money man. How do you think, Liam, that stadium was paid for? Do you believe we used Champions League money to buy it, or did we go to the bank and get a massive loan?
Bank loan.
Oh my God! You do realise we pay 30 million a year to the bank to pay off that stadium?
Nothing to do with.
You do realise that the plans to build that stadium were in place long before Pochettino was Tottenham Hotspur manager. It's unbelievable how silly fans can be.
Just, you know.
He was one of the greatest managers, no doubt. He is a below average manager at this point. A below average manager that still wins European trophies. Yeah. Okay, mate.
Still gets good jobs.
Okay.
People said, "Oh, you won't get another job after Spurs," didn't they? But he got the Roma job.
In the time that Poch was at Spurs, Jose Mourinho even won 2 trophies with a really poor Man United squad. Since then, he's now gone to Roma and won a European trophy. So since Poch had joined Spurs, Jose Mourinho still won 3 trophies.
He won 2 trophies at Man United.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Scott, just more nonsense from you, Savva. I love hearing your views, but when it comes to Poch and Jose, it's such crap. I'm pointing out facts, crap, Scott. Facts. It's not crap, is it? It's facts. Your hate for one and your love for the other one don't allow you to meet in the middle at the truth. Because your heart for Poch is so much so that you can't see the facts. Your hate for Jose is so much so that you can't see the facts. Do I think Jose was brilliant for us? No.
Didn't deserve to be sacked when he was.
Right. Do I think Jose was poor for us? No, because he took the 4th most points. It doesn't always have to be sensational or terrible. There is a middle ground. And this is the problem. People don't like the truth. And Scott, you fall into that bracket. You've got a manager that keeps winning trophies wherever he goes, and you've got one that doesn't. Just the truth. But when Jose wins a trophy, it's, but he only did this and he only did that. When Poch doesn't win, it's because of this. It's facts.
He spent money badly, and there's no doubt about
that. Right, yes, yeah. So here's the excuse for Poch at PSG is he was managing a bunch of prima donnas. Okay, I bet you they do better. Out of his depth. He can't handle big egos. Let's get it right, Graham, yeah? Are you all right to go for a few minutes? Are you all right?
Yeah. I just, the Poch thing does wear you out.
It does, but I just have to get facts across, right?
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
There are managers like Jose, like Conte, like Klopp, like Pep, like Ancelotti, yeah? These guys manage egos, don't they? Yeah? If Jose walks into a dressing room, if Pep walks into a dressing room and Klopp, do the players look at that manager and go, we're going to take the piss here? Do they? No, because they won't play. Poch walks into a dressing room. Do you think Messi, Neymar and Mbappe look at Poch and go, right, we're going to listen to this guy. We're going to do everything he said. We're going to run through brick walls for him. No, he's got no pedigree. He's got no winning mentality, and they're winners.
I don't think he knew what to do. He just stood on the line with his hands in his pockets most of the time. I just think,
Yeah, we did. And Harry did. Yeah, Harry's the one that pushed Bale to left wing and put Modric from the wing into the middle. And the rest is history.
Yeah, Harry.
Let's have a look. I do find it funny, though. It's just heart over head seems to trump people. And it's great.
Were there, weren't they? Yes, we got the Champions League final. The following season, we were struggling, playing poorly, invested poorly, 14th in the table.
Look at this. You offer any top club, Poch or Jose, they'll all pick Poch. Right. I hate to break it to you. One has managed Chelsea, Inter Milan, Real Madrid, Chelsea again, and Man United. The other one has managed Spurs and PSG. So again, no facts. That's your heart talking, Liam.
I can see him back at Southampton. I think
that's his level. For me, that's his level. Yeah. Jonathan, Poch won shit with Spurs. Unfortunately, it's the truth. Right, I do not want to bring Poch back just because I think hate on him for no reason. Scott, no one's hating on him. I'm being factual. I like Poch. Poch seems like a top guy. Is that fair, Graham? I think he comes across brilliantly.
He did well.
He did well.
He didn't do well, but at some stage it happened. Some stage, obviously the chairman's looked at it and thought 14th in the league. They don't mess about. Bang, you're out.
But again, Scott, when you're saying you don't hate Jose, but you can see how terrible he was for us, the facts the facts that I've presented you, they don't align. Again, it's your heart telling you that he was terrible. If you actually take everything into account, it wasn't terrible. You might not have liked his style of play. You might not have liked his antics, but the points he gained,
he was left a bit of a mess.
And he was left a massive mess to pick up. Yeah. The football was horrible and left the players in horrendous condition.
Was it ugly? I told you they were trying to get the ball forward to Kane and Son all the time. You don't want to play with nice little pretty football in your own heart. You wouldn't have got over 100 goals if you'd have done that.
Jose's team was ugly to watch. I hate to tell you, Poch's last year was bloody ugly to watch as well, but no one talks about that. I mean, I agree with this. I would have liked Jose in his prime, of course. And I'm not saying Jose is in his prime now, but he still has the knack of winning trophies. And Spurs only went and sacked him a week before a cup final. If anything doesn't scream idiocy like that, I don't know what does. Simon Walters, if Conte has a terrible season coming up, what's the narrative going to be from the Spurs fans? Listen, Simon, I'll tell you what. I will judge Conte on this season, right? Yeah. If he does a bad job, just the same as with
he don't mess about
anyone else, yeah. I will say he's done a bad job. But our fans will go, it's Conte, give him time, blah, blah, blah. But with Jose, it was immediate. We've got to see immediate success from Jose. Everyone else is allowed loads of time. Daryl, it's a results business, nothing to do with fans. Levy as a final say. I agree. He lifted the club to a new level. Imagine the old Tottenham in that big shiny stadium with them awful players. But
like Keane, Berbatov.
Yeah, I know. Those are awful players. You do realise we were a Champions League team before Poch joined. So when you're saying he took us to new levels,
he soon brought us down the other side.
He left us in 14th, Liam. Facts.
Playing poor football as well. The quality of the football. Playing fourth.
But Scott, again, you talk about context all the time and then ignore it with Jose. I don't think I've ignored anything. I've just said I don't think Jose was brilliant. But to say he was terrible, the facts don't suggest that. The facts don't suggest that. He took over a team in 14th that hadn't won away for 10 months. He took over a team with players like Dele Alli, yeah? Players like Ndombele, Lo Celso, Sessegnon. He was given players like Roden, Bergwijn, Gedson, Vinicius, Hart. This facts. It's facts. Anyway, Jose lost to a manager in prison, right? What? Jose's won 28. Oh, he's talking about when we got knocked out of the Europa League. The manager of that club at that time was in prison.
Oh, right.
So Poch lost to Colchester in a League Cup game. Right?
Forgot that.
Mate, it's all up there. Graham, it's all up there.
No, I'm just saying.
People come out with really silly things.
He's gone now.
He has gone.
Blimey,
Yeah. So Stephen, but bloody hell, Savva, it's like running a kindergarten. I'm out of here, going to clean the fridge out. Yeah. Unfortunately, there are too many fans that are childish about it. Right. Scott, more BS from you about the truth and my hate and love. I don't hate Jose. I don't love Poch. I can just use the context to see what actually happened. I don't have to promote an agenda, mate. I'll throw you. If you talk about agendas, I don't have an agenda against anyone. For me, football managers are managers. They come, they go. I don't love them. I don't hate them. There's this belief that I hate Poch because I say the truth and that he didn't win anything. There's this belief that I love Jose. Don't love Jose. But my head can see the facts, and the facts are not what you're suggesting. Gav, Savva, be careful. Too many financial pygmies in here. The cost of the stadium is being paid for by the stadium. Yes, Gav, it is. The stadium is paying off the stadium. Nothing to do with Champions League money. Liam Osborne, Jose can't manage egos anymore. That's why he was always loses the dressing room. Right. Sorry, he's a child, that kid, isn't he?
He didn't lose first.
Well, yeah, okay.
They liked him. The players, if you ask the players, they would say, I mean, Kane particularly loved Mourinho.
Yep.
End of, isn't it?
George Graham's a better manager. Are you talking about George Graham? Yeah, George Graham was a better manager than Poch. Of course he was. Look at everything he won. This is the problem. We do this with players as well. We want to elevate people to there without achievement. Yeah. When I talk about Ferguson, Klopp, Pep, Jose, Conte, they're winners. I don't need to pick them up. Their CVs do it for them. When you look at other managers, like no one could turn around and say Conte is on the same level as those other managers. Why? Because he hasn't done it in Europe. All of those other managers, right? Ferguson, did he win in Europe?
Yes.
Did Pep?
Yes.
Klopp?
Yes.
Ancelotti?
Yes.
Zidane?
Yes.
Right? One in Europe. George Graham won in Europe with Arsenal, right? You've got to, there's levels, but the thing is, heart stops people using this.
Yeah. I think Bilbao said they were interesting pops. Let's Bilbao. I thought I read somewhere.
You moan at fans like me for talking about Poch, but you were bringing up Jose's achievements that were 20 years ago. Again, really? Google is your friend. Jose Mourinho's last trophy was about a month ago. His trophy before that was 3 years ago with Man United. He got to a final with Tottenham, wasn't allowed to play it. So again, Liam, please use these. These are fingers. You've got a keypad. Yeah, you've got the internet because you're watching me live. Go onto Google, look up these facts. Gav, when an 11 becomes settled, their level will drop. Buy players to compete, not as backup. Bang on. Absolutely, Gav, the voice of reason. Can't believe I would ever say that. Right. It is my head. I watched the games and saw the results. But the facts don't say that. The facts don't say that. The fourth most points.
How was the ball getting in the net then?
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
100 goals. It was terrible.
It is mad.
It's an agenda against Mourinho, isn't it?
Of course it is.
Chelsea and, didn't want George Graham either.
Again, you're actually comparing Conte to Jose. Yes, when you look at one CV, it is amazing. Conte's is very good, but he's got to do it at the levels that Ferguson did it, the levels that Jose did it, the levels that Klopp and Pep are doing it. I'm not saying Conte's not a great manager, but you have to look at a CV, the entire CV. Listen,
at Porto. Imagine winning it at Porto.
Jose has won trophies at Porto. He won the UEFA Cup and the Champions League at Porto. He's won trophies, multiple trophies at Chelsea. He did the treble with Inter Milan. He won trophies with Real Madrid. He won 2 trophies with Man United. He's won a trophy at Roma. I don't understand how you're...
It's unfair.
It's so silly. So silly. But anyway, look, we're going to wrap it up there. I think it's got just a bit too childish for me with certain people. We're going to wrap it up. We're going to wrap it up there. And thank you very much. Thank you for everyone who's been in. Thank you for lots of people for the comments, for the super chats. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Graham.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes.
And we will see you again next week. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.